right. We got Homer Zulaica in here. I think I said it right this time, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay. Worked with the NFL, professional soccer, MLB, has a new company now. So now you're a first-generation American-Mexican, right? Now, did you come over from Mexico or you were born here?
No, I was born in Iowa City, Iowa, at the University of Iowa. I was actually at the University of Iowa. My dad's family came over from Mexico. They migrated over when he was a child. Ended up in California. They couldn't find work there, and they ended up. A lot of folks asked, like, "How do you guys? What's a Mexican doing in Iowa?" Well, there's a lot of corn and bean fields and various other plants out there that some of the migrant workers worked with. So my family ended up in a little town called West Liberty, Iowa. They were the first Mexican family there. And now my hometown has the highest population density of Mexicans in the state of Iowa.
Really?
So where they teach from kindergarten all the way through high school, all classes are taught in both Spanish and English for all students. So you have, I always refer to them as gringos, white kids come through there and they're fluent in Spanish and English, obviously.
So all of Iowa, all the schools teach both English and Spanish?
In my hometown.
Oh, in your hometown?
Yeah.
Wow. And when you had moved there, you were the only Mexican there?
Yeah, we were my parents, my dad was, yeah.
Were they, did they hate that there was like a immigrant in the area?
Yeah, that didn't go over well. No, it wasn't good.
They treated it like shit?
Yeah. My my dad married my mom. She was white. She's American, and that just caused all sorts of problems because I was in the late 60s, early 70s. It's not good.
Yeah. So and back then, right? It was like if a white woman marries not another white person.
Oh yeah.
It's a big deal. It's like the biggest sin in the planet, right?
Absolutely.
So then you pop out. You're born, and you grow up in Iowa.
Yeah.
That's where you go to elementary school, high school, whatever.
Kind of. I got an older brother and a younger sister. Started out there in West Liberty, Iowa, and then, for work, my dad and my dad moved. We moved from the little town into Iowa City, and then we moved to Texas and San Antonio. My dad was looking for work as an engineer. Spent some time in a few different towns in Texas, and then eventually ended up back in Iowa, in West Liberty, Iowa.
How'd you like Texas when you were? I mean, do you remember it?
Yeah.
Or were you too young?
No, I have a couple of different stints in Texas as a child, and then as an adult when I went back and when I was working in sports. I love Texas. It's it's its own little country within our country, and they do things the right way there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've been there twice. I was just in Dallas, and then I went to Houston. I liked it.
Yeah,
it's like everybody's really, they kind of just mind their own business.
They're nice.
They're nice. Yeah. Everybody's moving from New York and California to either Florida here, or Texas or Arizona. They're going to one of the three.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind living in Texas.
It's just we get the breeze over here in Florida. It gets really hot in Texas. There's no breeze.
Yeah,
it's hot.
It snowed in Texas like last year.
Yeah, it snowed in Dallas when I lived there before. Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought that was like unheard of.
It's not normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My aunt lives out there. So now, when you're in high school, like, what's your goal to be? Like, what do you want to be at that time?
Well, that's kind of interesting. Folks I meet now look at me as the guy I am now, but they have no clue. Like nobody does. I don't know exactly where you came from, or Rob, or anybody else. But people look at me now and they think manual labor or can fix something or. This guy for sure is going to hire somebody. There's no way he does anything by himself, which can be furthest from the truth. And although my wife still thinks I can't fix things. But anyway, some of my earliest memories growing up there in Iowa is being out in a bean field with my grandma, my grandpa on my dad's side, my abuelito, mi abuelita, and my aunts, mis tios, mi tias, and my cousins, my mom and dad, my brother and sister. We were all out in the fields. Some of us getting piggyback rides, other ones just running around. We were all cleaning the beans as a family to make money. And that's one of the earliest things I remember, growing up. And I've told my kids that, and I tell other people that. It's like, no, I grew up in a town, I think there was 54 people or 57 in my graduating class, small.
Wow.
And I one of the things in the Midwest, it's called detasseling corn. If you see a corn,
What the fuck is that?
a corn stalk, there's a tassel that comes out the top of it. If you can picture corn in your head, you always see that little thing with like a little tassel. It looks like seeds coming out the top. That's called a tassel. Well, you have to go detassel the corn. You have to take that out of each stalk so it doesn't pollinate the other corn, because you have seed corn and you have feed corn. Okay. Well, a lot of the migrant workers were brought in to do things like detasseling corn. So if you see acres and acres and acres of corn rows, you have to get in a row as an individual and touch every stalk all the way down to the end of that row pull out the tassel of corn. So that was one of the first jobs I had. You work on a crew, and they pay an hourly rate. Back in that day, it was like minimum wage, like $3.65, whatever that was. But it was money because you're 14 or 13, whatever. And
Now you just get Modell and they'll do whatever you want.
Well, now, we figured it out.
I'm not being racist, by the way.
That's all right. We figured out. I think I kind of got an entrepreneurial spirit pretty young. Well, there's Pioneer Seed and there's Northrop King Seed, big companies that contract these acres out to people. Well, we figured out why in the hell am I going to work for John Smith for $3.50 an hour when I can go contract my own acre or acres at $120 to $180 an acre, which was a lot in 1980, whatever, for a 13 or 14-year-old. And I do the work myself, or I hire some people to work for me. So I did that with a couple of my buddies. And everybody's like, "Are you doing what?" I'm like, "Nah." So we made more money working on our own, doing the same amount of work, but you're responsible for it. Like, it has to be clean properly. And that's kind of like where the entrepreneurial thing came from, because I come from a very middle-class family. It's like, love my family to death, but it was, we didn't really want growing up, but we certainly didn't, kill it. We were getting by. I mean, growing up in the Midwest, my mom and my dad both worked, and, it's cold in the Midwest. There's sometimes ends didn't meet and couldn't pay the bills. And I remember, a few different times where in the winter, couldn't pay the heat bill or electric. So you freeze your ass off. You're under covers.
Yeah.
So a very middle class upbringing. And some of the other jobs I had is, working on a pig farm, shoveling pig shit.
You worked on a pig farm?
Yeah, man.
Can you imagine Homer working on a pig farm?
Come on, man. That's what I'm talking about.
What did you do? What'd you do on a pig farm?
I told you I shoveled pig shit.
Wow. And this is a guy who ended up working with Major League Baseball, professional soccer player.
Yeah.
Did things with the NFL.
Yeah.
And back here, he's shoveling pig shit.
Yeah. So it was on the Shetler farm. Chris was an older guy. I was in high school, but I worked on his dad's farm for him. And you do various chores out there, and one of them is, you clean out the pens, you shovel the poop, you get it out of there. And, one a funny story about that is the hogs, they get tusks, they grow out, and they have to trim them, kind of like toenails. Because if not, they can scrape up against you and you can get infected because their mouths are pretty dirty, And one day the boss like, "Hey man, you got to cut you got to trim the pig's husks." I'm like, "What the hell is that? How do you do that?"
Yeah.
And it's always like, because I lived in town, even though it was a 2,500 people town, I'm a city boy, okay? Because I live in town. So he's like, "Oh, you know what the hell you're doing? Get over here." So they had to show me because I was a city boy. But basically, I had this two metal things kind of went down like that, which attached to these two long, kind of like shears, the handles on a shear. So I had these two things there, and they would close like that. They were metal. They were hooked just like that with the shear handles going this way. Well, they put the pig into a kind of a holding pen where the head was just right there, and they couldn't back out. And I put the little prongs on their husk. I put it on it like that, and I'd have to squeeze until it snapped. It just snapped the tooth and it'd go flying.
God.
Well, I couldn't. It's strong. I mean, it's calcium. It's a tooth.
What's that called? What's that called doing that? Like, what do you call that?
I was cutting teeth. I don't know. I was cutting their teeth. I was trimming their teeth.
See if you can find a picture cutting the fucking teeth.
Anyway, one of those things was so damn two funny stories. The first time I got it, I was like pulling on, and the pig is squealing. It's upset.
And
it's
they're
pissed.
strong as hell, right?
Oh yeah, but his head's stuck in there, so he can't get out. And I go, snap, and it snapped. The damn tooth went, boom, and it hit me right in the head, and it kind of cut my head. I'm like, man, you got to be shitting me.
So the pig tooth flew off and hit you in the head?
Yeah, it shot off and hit me in the head. and then like, the guy I was working for was like, hey, you got to get the other tooth, get the other tooth. I'm like, all right. So I go get the other tooth, and I was closing it. I was trying to close it. And I was 16 at the time. Thought I was strong. I worked out, played high school football, whatever. And I couldn't get it, so I put it between my legs, and I'm trying to close with my arms and my legs, and the damn handle snapped. I went bams, and I hit my hands together. I'm like, God. Just like, so I got hit in the head with the first tooth, then the damn thing broke, and I slammed my fist together like as hard as I possibly could. I was like, this sucks. So, but anyway, I just remember, I can't remember what year it was in high school. It might have been when I was 16 or 17. I was in waders, because you put waders on to go out there to shovel the poop.
What are those, boots?
Rubber waders, yeah,
Rubber
like
boots.
overalls, boots, And I remember it was in like March or February. It was in the Midwest. It's really overcast and gray a lot of the year. And I was sitting there, knee deep in pig shit. And I just kind of looked around, and I thought to myself, there's nobody to talk to. I was there by myself. I'm thinking, I can't do this. I gotta
figure something out.
I gotta figure something out. I gotta go to school. I gotta figure something out. So
boots to suits.
Yeah.
Now this is what you were cutting?
Yeah, it was those teeth, but I don't see the exact tool.
Like right there says pig teeth clipping.
No, looks like a damn toenail cutter. No, it was a big, like long. They were like 1.5 2 foot long wooden handles on it. So I don't know if that was a homemade thing he made or not, but that's what we used.
But you were cutting those
the big
like go back
adult,
up. Yeah, go back up, Rob, a little bit.
The adult.
One more, right there to the left.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But you don't let them get that long. You cut them way before that.
Right there, like where it says.
At the San Diego Zoo.
Yeah, left. All the way to the left. Click on that.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't let them get that long. That's like a
while. So that's considered long?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that looks short to me. So I thought that.
No, you got to keep those trim.
I heard that pigs are one of the smartest animals.
Oh, very smart. Yeah.
Like I heard they're like, what is it? It's whales?
I don't know.
Whales are super smart. Octopuses are basically a human in water. No, the DNA is exact. I know pigs are really, really fucking.
Yeah, they're smart. Yeah.
So you got out of the fucking farm shit.
Yeah, we got out of that. And another thing we did before school, because once again, I come from a middle class family. You got to figure out how to, help out and make ends meet. If you want something, you got to go work for it. And we had I don't know if you guys ever remember Louis Rich Turkeys or Louis Rich Foods. It's kind of like Oscar Mayer. They had a Louis Rich turkey processing plant in my hometown. Once again, a lot of the Mexicans worked there. A lot of the folks from town did. Kind of propped up the whole city and the town. Well, some of the local farmers, one of the girls actually in my class in high school, they started the first turkey farms outside of our town. I was like, what the hell's that? Well, there's long buildings, probably 300 yards, 400 yards long, 50 yards wide. Like they'd have one huge long one, and then they'd have a shorter one off to the side where the chicks all started over here. Then they would slowly move the birds over to different buildings or sections as they grew. Well, they did that there, so they didn't have to haul the turkeys from all the way around the country. They literally were 5 minutes from the processing plant. And, well, now they needed people once a month. When they grow up and they get to that age, they got to load the turkey. So you guys, everybody's been in the highway or freeway where you see that semi truck going by with the birds in it. And like there's rows of cages and there's birds in it everywhere. Those are turkeys or chickens. So basically we would go in the morning at when I was 16 to 18 when I graduated, wake up at 3:30, 3:45 in the morning, go to the farm, and we'd go in this big crowd. I had to wear a mask because there's a lot of turkey feathers and everything flying everywhere and poop everywhere with these animals. And so you have to protect your nose and mouth. So we would corral these birds into this corral, close the wood. There'd be 6 or 8 of us in there, and then we'd shoo them. 2 of us would get a group and shoo them up into this conveyor belt. Well, the conveyor belt went up outside the building next to the semi. Well, there'd be 2 of us on the end of the loader. And the loader would go up and down. We can control it up and down. We can control the speed of the conveyor belt. So the birds are coming, but there's this black, like a flap there, like when you go into a cooler at the grocery store, but they're black, not clear. So the birds don't get freaked out. So they see light, they start flapping. These are 30 to 45 pound birds. So they're big, they're strong.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're on the end of the truck. We're into the loader. We're racing because we're kids and we want to see who's the best at whatever. And we're racing to see how fast we can load these cages. You fit between how much the bird weighed, and they determine that in the day. Hey, the birds are weighing about this. We're going to put 8 in a cage today, or we're going to put 12 in a cage. So you're just, boom, boom, boom. You're like basically, if they're too big to grab with one hand, you got to grab with one hand, put their head on their neck, grab them by the tail, and throw them in the cage. You're just constantly going like this. You fill the cage, you grab it, pull down, close it, up to the next level.
You were doing that?
And you bang on the side of the semi so the driver knows go forward for the next row. Oh, I was doing that.
And they're fighting you though. They're fighting at the same
time.
time.
They're
not going in easy.
No. That's not what they want to do, believe me. So we would do that until about 7:30 in the morning and go to school at 8. So now that was only 1 to 2 times a month, but then we'd go to whatever sport we played after that, football, basketball, baseball, whatever. And then I worked at a local grocery store as well.
Wait, so you did all that, then you played sports, then you went to work at a grocery store?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So
see, I feel bad. When I see those trucks, I feel bad.
For who?
Because the fucking birds, they're stuck in that cage. I don't know. I have a thing for animals. I don't for people, but animals I do.
Well,
like I'd rather see an asshole in that cage than that bird.
Yeah, I understand. I completely understand that. At the same time, you got to look at it as like those are, lack of a better phrase, manufactured. I mean,
yeah,
they're made for our consumption. They're not wild. If it's wild, I understand completely what you're saying. These are.
Oh, these are genetically.
These are.
Oh, okay.
These are not wild turkeys. These are.
Oh.
These are bred specifically for this. These are not wild.
Okay.
No. These are bred specifically. They're white. White feathers. They're bred specifically for this.
Now, how much like genetic altering do you think that they do to make them grow quicker or to get more meat off of them?
I don't know.
I mean, now back then, I don't think they
the
did.
breasts on the breasts on those birds were huge. I mean, their chests were huge. I mean, I never saw one like that in a store. Not one that we loaded. I'm like, I don't see that bird on the store anymore, because it just didn't. But so that's one of the gigs I did. But yeah, so basically, I learned how to work, be honest, do stuff the right way. Work hard, and eventually things are going to work out. And, for all intents and purposes, it has. And I went off to college after that.
Well, you became an entrepreneur basically at 13, right? Okay. You had tough jobs that gave you discipline at a young age, which then led to where you became later. So all throughout your life, in my opinion, because with you, you had an immigrant family that appreciated, being in America. They're hard workers. Yeah. So the money here versus Mexico is night and day, especially back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got the discipline, how to work. That's why you're up at 5:36 every day, no matter what. That's why you can go to bed at 8, 9. But if you didn't have the upbringing that you did, working on that farm, pulling the corn, I can't imagine. Can you imagine him in a fucking...
I would love to see.
Oh, man, if I could get a picture of that.
A couple details I didn't tell you guys, though. Like, my grandma, my abuelita, my Mexican grandma, she would drive us there in the mornings. And in the mornings, there's dew on the corn. So we would take garbage sacks, and you cut holes in them for your arms and your head, and you put a garbage sack on, and you start going because it's wet, and you have to wear the garbage sack. Now, if you don't grab the corn properly, your hand will slide off, and it'll just slice your hand wide open. It hurts. Well, after a couple hours, the corn dries off. Now it's hot as hell out, so you got to take the garbage sack off. So about an hour without the garbage sacks, the next thing you know, you're taking your shirt and everything else off because it's hot. You go home at the end of the day, your hands are green. They're green, and cut up, and I'm glad I did it.
Well, it made you who you are.
Yeah.
I don't think you would be as successful as you are if you didn't do it.
The only thing I don't like, well, there's a lot of things you cannot like.
I mean, I'm not saying you liked doing it, but
I didn't mind. It was kind of fun. You ever see Stand By Me? You're out with your little boy. You're around that. We're a little older than that, but you're out with your boys, like literally your boys you grew up with, out there busting ass,
just fucking around,
screwing around, making money, we had cassette players. 'Cause that's what, there was a cassette player then. And we're listening to Van Halen 5150, and it's like, who can finish the row faster, and who can do the best at it?
See, but
And-
that's memories. He'll never forget that.
No.
Yeah.
That's why I say kids nowadays, they have no clue. I mean, I'm a lot younger, but I still learned at a young age to work, to get dirty, to not bitch, not complain, do what you got to do. Now kids bitch about every little thing, and everything offends them.
Dude, I did a paper route at, I think it was 5 before I went to school. I did a paper route. My mom and grandpa made me do it. So I had to do a paper route. Then when I would get home, because you have to do the next paper route, and then I'd have football practice.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't doing football, I was boxing. Because I had to, I was training to box. You know what I mean? So 2 paper routes, boxing or football. And when I was younger, I was like you in a different way. I lived in this little neighborhood right outside of Philly. And I would set up a stand at like 8, 9 and with freezer pops.
Yeah.
Because it was all kids my age.
I
you know what I mean?
those things, yeah.
And ice cream man would come around in his little dingy truck. So this is like 10 years old. I would get his prices and I'd beat his ass on all the prices. and where I learned my discipline, where like I would never steal, and if you borrow, you pay back.
Yeah.
Period. So I would borrow like $20 from my grandpa to beat this guy, so I could get like the cones and the stuff to compete with him just in front of my yard, because everybody knew me, and I'd always pay him back. And if I didn't pay him back, I would get grounded.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm a kid. So like if I took the money and went to the store and got candy real quick, like walked up to the corner store, and it wasn't exactly $20 back, and he knew I made $20, grounded. Like grounded.
Yeah.
But that's
but different. Yeah.
Different type of situation, but entrepreneur at a young age, and the discipline where you better get it done. And if I didn't sell the $20 worth, grounded. My grandpa was not to be fucked with. He was right off the boat from Italy, 6'2", played in the CBA basketball.
Oh, wow.
I got none of it. You know what I mean? The only thing I got was the mania, basically. And, my mom was a pushover. You know what I mean? She's spoiled. Just yell, bitch, moan, hit me with the pasta pan spoon. But my grandpa, when he was coming, shit better be done. And when you start something, you finish it. I always tell Rob, he made me go outside in a T-shirt to play football. And when it was snowing, 30 degrees out, 15 degrees out, I'd have to catch 50 passes. That we had a thing that we set up. I'd have to catch 50 passes. Couldn't go in a T-shirt. My mom would come out screaming, what the hell are you doing? But then when I went and then in the summer, I'd have to wear sweatshirts, multiple sweatshirts in 100 degrees.
Yeah.
But now when I go to play, because I was a running back,
it's easy.
Cold, heat, I don't need that heater. They always put the heaters in their hand. Fuck. I just been out in 2 degrees for an hour trying to catch 50 passes with numb hands, running into a frozen padded wall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's how I broke a gazillion records because of that. More, discipline from growing up. So, but who cares about me? So now you're in Iowa.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was. Did you know that was a farm place?
Yeah, it's Midwest there, the Hawk.
I don't know. I didn't even know that this was Southeast Florida. I thought we were just in South Florida.
A lot of cornfields, cows, hay bales.
You've never even been there, Rob.
I've never been there.
Medical and space is all I know. That's it. And marketing. That's about it. So you grow up in Iowa, you go to high school, and then you played football.
Yeah, I went to a small college, Division II school called St. Ambrose University. It's in Davenport, Iowa. It's on the Quad Cities, right where the Mississippi River is between Iowa and Illinois. Yeah.
And then how long did you play football for?
4 years.
You went all 4 years? What position did you play?
It was kind of funny. Rob knows this story because we coached youth football together. I was like an all-state offensive lineman, believe it or not, in Iowa at a 2A school, which is small. But I wanted to continue playing in college. So I went to St. Ambrose and I walked on at Division II school, whatever. But I had to switch to defensive back. So I went from an offense. I played both ways in high school, so I played defense as well, but I was not a defensive back. I was like a defensive end. So I had to learn how to backpedal and cover wide receivers. And my first camp in college was so hard. I mean, I was so sore and so hard, but I wouldn't quit. And my coach hated me. My position coach hated me. He's like, why do I got to deal with this guy? He sucks. And he would never say that because he couldn't. But you just know. Like, I mean, you never leave your feet as a defensive back until it's the last possible thing to do. But I was so slow and so behind everybody, the receivers, that I was diving for everything to try to break it up. So all of my elbows and knees were just all bloodied up during 2-a-days. And he's like, Zulaica, quit fucking diving. I was like, man, that's all I got, man. I mean, but I was so sore, like, because I never backpedaled before.
Yeah.
Ever. Man, I just go to the toilet and sit down. I like, can you back up? It was horrible. But I stuck it out that first year and played junior varsity, and you know, have your exit interview at the end of the season. And my coach goes, hey, you know, came in and gave me an exit interview. He said, you know, this is what you did good, this is what you did bad. He said, by the way, you know, we're giving you a scholarship. I was like,
Give me a scholarship.
yeah, so I earned a scholarship while I was there, which is because I walked on, I didn't have a scholarship.
Yeah.
So that was a big deal for me. And then I played. So the big thing in college is like if you can play on a special team as an undergraduate, that's pretty good. Like if you're some sort of freak or really, really good, you can start at a position. It happens. But just the fact if you can play special teams, that's like great. So as a sophomore, I played some special teams, got in a few games at the end. But I always had upperclassmen ahead of me. They were just better than me. I gradually got better as the years went on, but there were defensive backs there that went there to be a defensive back.
Yeah.
And my senior year, you know, it was my turn to start. So I was going to start at free safety. I played strong safety and corner before. And all my roommates were linemen and defensive ends and linebackers. Huge guys. They beat up on me all the time.
Huge
my
guy.
my best friend's like 6'5". He's fucking. But anyway, so I'm like, all right, cool. You know, busted my ass, worked really hard that offseason, which I did every offseason, offseason conditioning and all that stuff. And then my senior year, like some kid got in trouble at Western Illinois, which was a Division I AA school, and he was a free safety, so he got kicked out of Western Illinois for something. I don't know what, but there's rumors, whatever, blah, blah. So the kid shows up to camp. You know, I'm me, 5'7" on a good day. At that point, I was 200 pounds, moved around, looked a little different, but this guy shows up.
Did he have hair?
I had hair. I had serious hair. And this guy shows.
Yeah, he's got a little bit.
That one. Yeah. This guy shows up and is a African American player, 6'5", 220 pounds, free safety, and they got him or they got me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you've got to be shitting me right now. I've busted my ass for 3.5 years, and now this is gonna happen. You've got to be kidding me right now. So I literally went back to my townhouse and I cried like a baby. I'm like, I worked so hard. I'm like, this is bullshit. Like this is horrible.
Understandable.
And I got done with that, and I said, F it. No, not going down that easy. And our first game that year, the season opener was against Valparaiso, and I was a starting free safety. I beat him out.
I like that you didn't quit.
Nah,
I love that.
you don't quit. No,
I love that.
I beat him out, and
That's
like
awesome.
fair and square. I mean, and he's a prototypical Division I free
Congratulations.
safety, dude.
Nah, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Listen, I love
Did I
that.
ever tell you that, Rob?
I don't remember that part, but that's pretty incredible.
And I did that on my own. Yeah.
So I played running back. I
Yeah.
was 190.
Yeah.
I'm 155 now.
Yeah.
Right,
190? Oh,
I was
Jesus.
190, shaved head. Yeah,
Wow.
I broke a ton of records.
You're
I
pretty-
broke every one in Pennsylvania, but I got an offers. I had an offer to go to North Carolina, but fucked it up. It's a long story. One day, just to make it short, one day I walked out of the. We had one, and I had broke another one, and I walked out, and met my uncle, and it all went to shit from there. But but then we just had Willie Rofin,
Yeah.
who is Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at him, I was thinking, man, if I would have taken that scholarship, because when you're in high school, you're getting hit by big guys, but not big guys.
Well, he's a freak of nature. I mean, that guy.
But I mean, even in college football, they're
No. Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're not as big as him.
No.
I mean, fuck. I mean,
He even said he didn't get a Division I scholarship. I forget how it worked out. He went to Louisiana Tech, but he had to work his way. Like, and he got himself in trouble, I think, a little bit. But
I mean, he is fucking huge.
Yeah.
Gigantic.
I mean, I would not want to get hit by him.
He came to some of our practices. Yeah,
For the kids, yeah.
big
He's
dude.
a big motherfucker.
Yeah.
Great, real nice guy.
Oh, super nice guy.
Real nice. You know what? And what's so cool about him is you would never know that he's a college Hall of Famer,
No.
NFL Hall of Famer, broke the record. What, he had more sacks for the Saints than any, or he was the only first-round draft pick or something crazy.
He's an offensive tackle. But, that's what you find out about that I learned working in pro sports is that more often than not, the guys are like that.
Yeah.
It's just a handful that are not cool and they're jerks. But more often than not, the guys are like that. You never know. They're great people. They're good dudes.
Yeah, they had a good upbringing.
Yeah,
and they don't
good.
let it get to their head.
No.
You know, because you never, when somebody like that comes in, you never know.
No.
You know, you never know if they're going to be all cocky and like,
No.
that's not Fiji, so I'm not drinking. You know what I mean? You never know with shit like that.
What do you think now about the college athletes? Basically, they can get paid, right? They can do endorsement deals and they can get money now.
They can now,
They-
or they're
yeah,
talking about it.
The Supreme Court had ruled
They did.
they can. So some guys were saying like, well, now these kids will get like, say they have Monster energy drink. They'll be sponsored by that. Now they won't give a shit as much for the game, and
Yeah, but there's two ways to look at that because
if they don't, then they're not going to get those
right,
endorsements.
That's exactly what I was just going to say.
So it's a lot of people don't know that when in Division I athlete, a lot of them they get their scholarship. They're not allowed to work. Sure. Like they're not allowed to. I guess whatever. I don't know the specific rule. They have their meal plan and their school paid for, and I think in their housing. But if they wanted to go get a job at Domino's Pizza, you can't.
So how do they order food? How do they?
Well, they got meal plans, and everything. But I have no problem with that myself, because they're getting 100 or 200 or 50,000, whatever much their school is. They're getting that free education, which it is pricey. At the same time, I mean, you like to have a little pocket cash. So I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But do you think that like maybe it'll be good for some smaller schools now, because technically you can go to Nebraska. Not that Nebraska's a small school, but a school that maybe you go to Alabama to play football, right? Everybody goes to Alabama. They want to hit it big. But now if you're still good, you can still go to Nebraska, make some money while you're there, and still get hopefully that chance in the NFL. I guess maybe it'll keep some of these kids at other schools, is what I'm saying.
See, I think there's two ways to look at that, and tell me what you think because you worked in it. So I think one, yeah, people will be like, okay, well, I don't have to work as hard because I'm going to get it, and those are the guys that they're going to lose the deal. So if you want the deal, you're going to have to keep working hard. Mm-hmm. Now the other end to that is, these coaches are getting millions of dollars a year. The coaches, they're not getting like the $100,000 or $50,000 anymore like they did 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. So if the coach is getting all that money, the school's getting a ton of money from the run, basically all of Alabama's fucking teams' jerseys. Yeah. They're making a ton of money, and then the kids get nothing. Now, I don't know. I personally think it's a good thing, but you shell it to them in increments, and then when they graduate, then you say, here's what you have to go with. So, say the deal is you come to the school, we'll give you, $50,000, but we're going to give you $600 a week while you're here, or $400 a week while you're here. When you graduate, the remaining we'll give to you. That way you're not giving them too much, right? But then another way to look at that is think how much money Alabama has, and then think how much like a lower school has.
Yeah,
so then you offer the money, you're gonna stack the teams.
They're already
ways
stacked because there's already a lot of cheating going on. A lot of that stuff was done through churches and religious organizations. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we like to talk to come visit us at the church. Well, they're floating the money through there. I mean, there's tons of different ways they're doing it. But anyway, yeah. So I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah,
I mean, do you think there should be any restrictions on it?
Oh, there's restrictions on it. There's rules. I mean, they're going to regulate it. I don't know how. I don't know the specifics on it. I mean,
it is passed?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Supreme Court
yeah.
ruled in favor.
It went into effect last week.
I think it'd be nice, though, if they got, like you said, 50,000, right, or whatever the deal is, that they get some of that money up front, but maybe have it in the, to teach them to save this money and not just blow
That's
it.
what I mean. Like
But I guess that's your own personal choice at that point, right? If you blow the money, you blew it. If you didn't,
but I think like 400 a week, and then you keep the remaining for when they graduate. That's just my opinion.
The school's not paying them. For instance, I just listened on the radio this morning. Sadly, I was driving to work or whatever. The University of Miami, American top team.
I saw that.
For the University of Miami, he's paying each one of them.
Was it 5,000 or
if they post
on Instagram?
On Instagram, his posts from American top team. Every player on the football team, he's going to give them. It was X amount of money, whatever.
It wasn't something crazy, but
no, but X amount of money. So it's going to be companies and endorsements, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, but there's going to be other colleges that have deeper pockets.
That's what I'm saying.
Of alumni that are going to blow it up.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. I mean, that's just it is what it is.
But if they put a limit across the board,
I don't think there's a limit.
But I'm saying if they did, that's the way you could circumvent that. You know what I mean? So you get your bachelor's degree in athletic
training.
Athletic training.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, was that hard to get?
I started out as an engineering major because my dad was a mechanical engineer. So I'm like, I'll do that, and that was really hard though.
Yeah.
When
I had that engineering company, mechanical, and I had to read. I never read it, but my guy who did read it, I looked at that, and I tried to learn it just to have an idea, because I was just making the deals, you know what I mean? And I was like, shit, this ain't gonna happen,
So I went to college for that, and I got admitted on college on academic probation, because I graduated high school with a 2.0, because I just did enough to get by.
Yeah.
So I was only allowed to take 12 hours my first semester, and everybody warned me. And I was the first kid in my family, my entire family, not just my brother and sister, but my cousins and aunts and uncles, and nobody had gone to college. I was the first one. Like, don't screw it up. And I'm like, yeah. So
no, I'm sorry. No, so you only got 12 hours.
12 hours.
What did the average person get?
12 hours is a full load,
mm-hmm.
but you want to do 15 if you can, 15 to 18 every semester. That way you're on time.
I gotcha.
Because you got to graduate with 120 or something like that. Whatever. But I was a little short. And then, of course, even though I was told not to, my freshman year, because none of us traveled, we just played junior varsity football, we stayed back and partied. Like, that's what you do in college. And I did enough just to get by again. So the first semester I screwed up, and they're like, listen, you already got here on probation. You better knock it off or you're not going to be here at all. So I got my ducks in a row, got everything organized, and continued doing the engineering thing. And there on campus, you can get a work-study job. So I got a work-study job, was in the arts and theater whatever department, like building sets. So you go in there. It was actually kind of fun. It was like a construction class, whatever. So it was kind of fun. And, whatever. And I meet the different student actors and the choir people, this, that, and other. And I talking to the choir lady there at the university, I said, I was in the swing choir, I did whatever, and I was in the band in high school, whatever. I was in the band and the choir and all the sports. So there's nothing else to do in a small town. You do everything. So
you were in the choir?
Not only after that conversation with that lady, then I was on choir scholarship at St. Ambrose University. I got a scholarship for choir.
Oh, boy.
You knew that, didn't you?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, I was.
Hey, just for people that don't know, Rob the engineer knows Homer. That's why they're talking back and forth like this.
Wow.
Their kids. Your kids play what? Football and baseball together?
Yeah.
Football?
Soccer.
Yeah. So anyway, I through that job, the work study job in the arts department, whatever, I met the director of the choir program, and I tried out and I got a scholarship. Because I'm thinking, I'm like, well, if this is gonna help me pay, I'm gonna do it.
Right.
So I got a choir scholarship and football scholarship now. So it was kind of funny is that sometimes I'd have to leave practice. There's one other guy and myself.
Oh boy!
But at the time it was just me. So I'd have to leave practice early, and you have to. So the practice field's like here, and the fine arts building's right there, but the locker room's here. So I had to shower, walk across the football field. They would literally stop. The whole team would go. Ooh, they do this.
I was just gonna say,
like,
you must have got your balls broken.
Oh my!
Do you have any balls left? I mean, I know you got some kids, but I mean, are they like half?
Dude, they ripped me, and I was just like, and then you're 20 years old, 19, and you're just like, oh god, you're so embarrassed, because you're insecure enough.
Hell yeah, and you have to go, right?
I have to. I mean,
that's what your scholarship's for. Oh,
well, I mean, I leave the one scholarship program to go to the other scholarship.
Yo, can you imagine? You just got done with the football game, right? You're getting hit around, and now he's gonna go to the choir.
Yeah. I did.
I would have died.
So,
did you have to wear one of those like tight uniforms that they wear for the band? Like, their balls are like crunched up in it.
I think you're thinking of ballet or something. I was in a choir where you wear like a robe. You actually see less. Yes. So,
oh boy.
Anyway, so
choir boy
did that. I got injured a couple times, and I ended up in the athletic training room doing rehab for whatever. And
because you were hurt.
I was hurt. I got hurt.
And you had an athletic trainer work on you.
Yeah. And I don't even know, because in West Liberty, Iowa, you didn't have an athletic trainer. You hurt? Suck it up. Like, there's nobody there to fit your farm town.
Put Vaseline
I didn't even know
right?
what a farm athletic trainer was.
Yeah.
Well, they were starting a physical therapy program at St. Ambrose. I'm like, well, hell, I'll do athletic training undergraduate and get on my prereqs, because the prerequisite classes for physical therapy school are the same for med school. So I did all my prerequisites. Your biology, your chemistry, your anatomy and physiology, your physics, all this.
Wow, you have to do all that for athletic training?
No, for physical therapy and med school.
Yeah.
But it also covered my athletic training undergraduate requirements too, so I did it. But anyway, so I just knocked it all out, and then I was in, I think my senior year or my junior year? I think it might have been my junior year, where, when they do a kickoff, they do a kickoff, there's a line of guys here, then there's like 3 guys here, and then 2 and 1. The kickoff guy was behind me. I was one of the 2 in front of him. So they kicked it. I looked back, and he said, go. So I go to start taking off running, and the wall of 3 guys was in front of me, my buddies, my players, my teammates. One of them was my housemate at the time, Miguel Trevino. Never forget it. We're still friends now. Miguel got blown up. Like, 2 guys like went through this shoulder and just blew him up. Well, I'm running up behind him. I'm the second wall behind him. He got hit so hard, he spun around really fast. And I had like a quarterback face mask, and his elbow fit right into my face and just broke my nose. Just went whack. And I was like, you ever see the cartoons where they hit somebody with an ambulance? Goes,
yeah.
That's what I felt like. I was just like, whoa. I had never been hit that hard, even in fights or whatever. I was like, what was that? So I'm bent over at the waist going, I was out of it, and get to the sideline, and my teammates are going like, hey, you okay? And they go, because I guess my nose was
probably crooked.
And so we had this old doctor. He had to been 80, Dr. Sunderbrook. He's like, I got you, son. I'm like, he's looking. I'm letting him look at it, and he just goes, wham! And I'm like, ah! I'm just like, he said it. He didn't even tell me he was going to set him. You got to be kidding me. So the reason I tell you that is, I couldn't sing anymore after that. I got all nasally. My nose was all screwed up. They let me keep my choir scholarship, and I finished up, but it wasn't good.
Well, I guess you could do choir blind, right?
Yeah. So this is a funny story. This is really funny. And
the choir thing's got me.
No. So I break my nose, okay? And I'm just getting into the athletic training program, so I don't really know anything medical at that point. Now, 20 years later, knowing what I know and doing what I did, now I'm like, man, that was not cool. So listen to this. So I go to, I want to say it was Mercy Hospital to get, they sent me to the hospital to get checked out, broken nose, whatever. And I'm going in there, and they're checking me out, and they asked my parents to leave the room, which I'm fine, whatever. At that point, I'm 20. I don't even know. So the guy's like, okay, checking this and that. He's like, okay. And once again, I don't know anything medical at this point. There's a guy. He's like, you want to go ahead and bend over? I'm like, huh? The guy checks my prostate for a broken nose. And now I'm here 20 years later going, I think I got violated. I mean, he literally checked. I got done with that going,
that the Michigan State doctor?
What the like? It's like what the hell just happened? You got to check my prostate for a broken nose.
Did you ever find out why
No.
he would?
No, but it's a funny story to this day, which I'll share with other
Yeah,
people.
that is crazy.
But the craziest thing is that I asked if he could check it again when he pulled it out.
That kind of makes you. That kind of makes you sick.
No, so I told my mom and
But
dad.
the pictures you sent me are sick enough. So,
But I told my mom and dad, and they were like, "What?" And I was like, "I don't know." But anyway, yeah. So did athletic training program, graduated from St. Ambrose, and great experience. Met a lot of great friends there at Catholic University. And with athletic training, you need to take a certification or a licensing exam, and it's I think they said, was it 25% of people fail it the first time? It's hard, you know. It's a test. It was in a booklet. It's different now, where it gives you scenarios. It's a written practical test where it gives you a scenario and you highlight your answer, and then something comes up after you highlight it, saying, "Well, now this happened." So you got to go on to the next step and go through with it. So you got to like react to scenarios, and it's 150 questions of that. That's from 8 to 12, and then they'll take you out in the afternoon, and they'll take you into a practical exam. So you'll walk into a room with 3 examiners there, and a fake patient, and a table full of medical supplies, and they'll say, "Homer, perform a Lockman's test," and you got to go up to the
and what's a Lockman's?
A Lockman's test is
so
an ACL test to
Okay.
check the integrity of an ACL. So you got to go up, you got to get the fake patient, lay him down, tell these examiners everything you're doing, why you're putting your hands where you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. And then you get done, you say, "That's a Lockman's test." They're like, "Next." And they'll tell you something, "Hey, put this type of bandage on." So you see what you got on the table to work with, and you're like, "Okay." And you get what you have on the table to work with. So they go through all these different things you have to do with what you have to work with to show your skills and that you understand it. So and then there's a third part, just a multiple choice. So the multiple choice is where they pull you out of to do the practical on the table. So I passed everything except for the multiple choice.
Huh.
So I went to take it the first time. It was in Wake Forest is where I took my test. But backtracking a second, I saw the job posted. It's called the National Athletic Trainers Association. So an athletic trainer is more medical than like gym rat. Okay. Preoperative, postoperative rehab, and evaluation of injuries.
Right. We're not talking about a personal trainer.
No.
We're talking about
No.
like heavy shit.
Like the guy or girl that runs on the field when somebody gets hurt in a sporting event.
Right.
That's what I did. So I looked on the National Athletic Trainers Association site after I graduated because I didn't have a job, living in a house with like 6 or 7 of my football friends. And there's a job for Los Angeles Dodgers athletic trainer. I'm like, I'm going to apply to that. Send it in. Like 2 weeks later, I get a call. It's the Los Angeles Dodgers. Lucci Guerra, and Lucci's a wonderful woman. She's in LA still. Calls me and she's like, "Hey, we'd like to do an interview with you. Are you still open?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, I haven't passed my board exam yet." "That's okay." So I'm going to call you back. So she called me back a couple days later. She goes, "We're going to do this interview in Spanish because I need to know that you learn how to speak Spanish."
Is that why they picked you? Because you were fluent, bilingual, and not so like? Is that what got you that call? Do you think?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I got the job. Now, in saying that, I grew up with my parents, but my grandparents, my dad's parents, who were Hispanic, spoke no English, they would watch us during the day. And then when my mom and dad got home from work, obviously we'd go home with them. My mom spoke no Spanish. So we spoke Spanish all day with my grandma and grandpa, and we go home in English. So we grew up literally both languages. In saying that, kind of when you go through high school and everything else, you just use it less and less. You understand everything, but you use it less and less for whatever reason. It's just an upbringing. And a lot of my Mexican friends back home, same thing. They just don't use it. So I butchered this interview with Lucci on the phone because my Spanish was so bad, but it was enough to get through. And I'm like, oh man, I felt like a complete idiot. But good enough. So they hire me on, pending, like, we'll re-sign you the following year. Number one, if you do a good job for us this year. And number two, you got to pass your board exams. Like, all right. So I never been on a plane before. I'm 22. It's 1995. Was it 1995? 94. get on a plane from Moly. So I got hired to be the head athletic trainer for their minor league affiliate in Great Falls, Montana. So what the athletic trainer does, or did back in the day, I think they still probably do something similar. You go to the affiliate city first, you check in all your medical supplies, make sure everything's there. You meet the local staff, the general manager, and everybody there that supports you in that local city. And then you go back to your spring training site in Vero Beach, Florida. So my parents and my girlfriend at the time, they take me to the airport, Moline, Illinois, because I was the closest one that got to where I needed to get. And, I was scared to death. I'd never been on a plane before. And I never really wore a suit.
Well, you lived in the middle. You grew up in the middle of nowhere. There's 54 people.
No, that was in my graduating class.
I know, but I'm just saying, in general.
Yeah, so I fly to Great Falls, Montana. And it snows in Iowa. I grew up in snow. But in Montana, it's a different level. Like, there were literally just 2 ruts in the roads where your tire tracks went. It was serious. It was cold. I mean, they had to shovel out the door of the locker room in order for me to get in there to check in all the supplies. Never been away from my family, really, except for college. Definitely haven't been away from my friends, but you're so cliquey in college and dependent upon them that I was so busy the first 2 days there, day and a half, that it didn't really hit me. I'm like, I'm by myself. And then like that second day in the night or the third day, I called my mom and dad crying. I'm like, I want to go home. I can't do this. And as much as my parents wanted me to come home because I was their kid and they don't, they're like, hey, stick it out. It's going to be okay. And, and they're not really like this, but they sent me like some balloons. Like the next day I was at my hotel. I'm like, hey, stick it out, give it a try, to support me. And they're not like that at all. And I was super surprised. And as much as my mom, I know she hung up going, fuck it, let's go get him. But she never said that to me, but they were.
You knew.
Yeah. And so I said, all right, and I went to this dinner banquet they had for the Great Falls Dodgers staff and the different families that hosted players and staff while they were there. And they introduced me that night. And I should have sent you that photo. I had a lot of hair. And I was 22. But they had a big banquet and introduced me. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Then I get on a plane, fly to Orlando. And once again, we go through a rainstorm. I'm in the middle seat. And I'm got a death grip on this chair because there's one of those planes where it's going up and down. And the second time on a plane.
Oh, you got crushed with turbulence.
Oh, yeah. And the guy next to me was like, don't fly much. And I'm like, no. I was probably white. I was like scared to death. A shuttle driver got me. And a Dodgertown driver got me. And a couple players. And we drove to Vero Beach. Got to Vero Beach.
MLB players?
Minor league players. Because big league camp was already in session. Minor league camp was just getting started.
So right now you're in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, get to Dodgertown, get off the shuttle, and I meet my roommate, who is a friend of mine to this day, Jason Mankey. He's from Nebraska. I'm like, what's the chance of this? This guy's from Nebraska. Big white dude. White is all white. He played basketball in college. So he was my roommate. And our boss, who's a little Eskimo guy, who's actually from Montana, little bitty dude, he's like, nice to meet you. How you doing? And I had an earring at the time. He goes, get the earring out of your ear. I never met the guy. I only talked to him on the phone. He goes, actually, he said, get the effing earring out of your ear. This is my second sentence to this guy ever in person. I'm like, yeah, my bad, sir. Well, I took it off.
Yeah.
Because I'm 22 trying to be cool in my suit.
Right.
Traveling.
I had earrings too.
Yeah. So we go into this conference room in Iowa. All we had was WGN, which was the Chicago station, and we always show the Cubs games. I wasn't a super baseball fan growing up. I played in high school, but more football, And I go into this conference room, and mind you, we're all sports fans because we watch ESPN. We all play college football. All my guys in my house I live with and I play with, we sit around like bums and watching TV and whatever. I walk into this room, and I sit down. In walks Tommy Lasorda. In walks Mike Scioscia, Charlie Huff, Claude Osteen. All these former big leaguers and people that I'd seen on TV. I'm going
heavy hitters. Yeah.
And I'm 22. I'm just like, I didn't know what to expect. I got hired. I'm like, I got a job. I don't know.
Like right out of college.
And then I'm like, holy shit. I'm just like, oh, wow, this is a real job. I was like, oh, man.
Gee, I'm not fucking picking up pig shit anymore.
Dude,
right?
I was like, whoa, I got a real job. I was like, what? It's not,
pig shit to the Dodgers.
dude. So I literally sat there and said nothing. I was just like, I was in awe, and I was learning. So I'm like, we have that initial meeting. Then we break out, and Matt Wilson, who was my boss, who's the coordinator of the minor leagues, goes, hey, we have a trainer meeting. So we go to the trainer meeting, and I know now why he did it and why they do it, because I had to learn the hard way myself. I got hired so young, I wasn't hard enough. We got in the training room, and all the trainers are there. I think there was 8 in the minor leagues, 7 or 8. He pulls out this big, thick 3-ring binder. And Jason, my roommate from Nebraska, just got hired, and myself, and one other kid, I think. And he throws this big-ass binder on the table and makes it make a noise on purpose, like boom. And Matt cussed like a sailor. He's like, you know what the F this is? I'm like, he goes, these are all the goddamn resumes I have that want your job. So if you fuck up, I got plenty of people to fill your spot. So don't even think about it. That's number 1. Number 2, all of the people you met tonight, all the people you're going to be working with, are your coworkers. You're not a fan. Don't ask them for an autograph. Don't ask them for a jersey. Don't ask them for a bat. They're your coworkers, and you treat them like that. They're your equals. You're really good at athletic training. They're really good at throwing a baseball and hitting a baseball. That's the only difference. Period. Are we clear? Like, yes, sir.
Sounds like a drill sergeant.
He was.
But needed to say.
He was an asshole.
Yeah.
But he had to. He had to do it though.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, Jesus, all right, And my first year. Well, I don't know if you remember Hideo Nomo-san. Yeah. Nomo time. Oh man, Nomo's like the first Japanese pitcher to come to the States. He was a phenomenon. And at least 100 press members followed him around everywhere. Even the fields were all roped off and everything. So at that time, we'd had 4 National League Rookie of the Year in the Dodge organization. Eric Karros, Mike Piazza, Raul Mondesi.
I have Mike Piazza's rookie card. Yeah,
Who was the other one? Nomo was the Nomo was the other one,
No,
and then Todd Hollinsworth was in line, a candidate to get it this year. So we're doing 5 in a row. So anyway, it was pretty cool because I was just on the couch with my buddies watching SportsCenter, seeing spring training highlights, and all of a sudden I'm there. I'm in the uniform, like working, and
at this time you're still at the minor league level.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but in camp you're with everybody. Like everybody's together. Everybody's together. So they give you an assignment every day. At least how the Dodge organization did. You have an assignment every day. Like you're on these fields. You're on the road for the road game. You have inside duty, meaning everybody that gets injured, you evaluate them and write up the workman's comp report because it's workman's comp, paperwork. Everybody comes into ice for bullpens. You're inside. You got all of it. You got coolers. You got whatever. So inside Dodgertown, there's a dining hall that everybody eats at. And there's also a bar just for staff, the bar. Well, the dining room, everybody's in there. From Tommy Lasorda to Vince Scully to Sandy Koufax. Wow. Sandy Koufax, they're throwing bullpens with the guy, like not throwing, but giving him pointers.
Right.
And Tommy Lasorda was amazing. Is amazing. I remember we were in dinner one night, and as athletic trainers, you're kind of the low man on the totem pole. At the same time, you're the only member in the staff in a dugout who has a degree from college, required to have a degree. Now it's changed because now, with all that's going on in society, they have a strength and conditioning coach, which they need a degree as well. Which I am as well, strength and conditioning coach and athletic trainer. And now they have mental coaches, and it's amazing.
All this,
it's amazing. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the athletic trainer is a low man on the totem pole. You kind of get shit into the stick. You get shit on. Like I went to the dining room one night, and you just keep to yourselves. You stay with the trainers, be cool, whatever. And Tommy Lasorda was there sitting with somebody, and he knows who the new people are and whatever. And he's like, "Hey, rookie." And I'm like, he's like, "Yeah, you, come over here. What's your name?" I'm like, "Oh, shit, man." I'm like,
How nervous were you at that time?
oh, my booty puckered up. And I was
You lost
like,
your balls at the pig farm, and now your balls are up at your neck.
So I was like, "Hey, my name's Homer. Homer what?" Homer Zulaica. "Hey, Homer, sit down, have dinner." I'm like, "Oh, fuck." I'm like, man, no, I don't even want, I just ruined my dinner appetite. So I'm sitting here going, "Oh, geez." So I sat down with him, and I can't remember who was sitting there with him, but I can't remember if Jason was with me or not, but just sat there at dinner with him. He asked about your family, typical Italian stuff, like, where's your family, where you from? Like, give me the third degree in a cool way.
Yeah.
He's like, "I like you, Homer. I like you." I'm like, "Yeah, right. I'm just gonna stay away from you because I don't want to get my balls." But I don't know what you're up to, because he's a prankster. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stay away from him because I don't know what he might be setting me up for shit, because they always mess with the rookies, whether you're a staff member or a player, you're getting messed with. It doesn't matter. So camp goes on, working whatever, this, that, and other, and Tommy comes by in his golf cart and he goes, "Homer." I'm like, "Yeah, how's it going, Tommy?" He goes, "Going to make a commercial, Universal, 4 days. You got to go. You're going to be in it." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, Tommy." "No, I'm serious." And he looks around, there's nobody around. He goes, "You're going to fucking be in a commercial. Be ready." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, I didn't even acknowledge him. Like, whatever. I'm like, whatever. So a couple days go by, whatever, this, that, and other, and the head trainer in the big leagues goes, "Homer, are you ready to go to do that commercial with Tommy?" I'm like, and I still can't tell if they're messing with me, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." He goes, "No, it's serious." I'm like, "Yeah." And up until like literally the car pulled up, I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, dude." So the head trainer, like the end of the day, goes, "Hey, you got to leave early. Are you ready yet?" And I'm like, "For what?" "You're going to Universal Studios to make a commercial with Tommy." I'm like, "Whatever." And he goes, "Look outside, asshole." I look outside, and there's a limo out there, and he goes, "That's for you and him." I'm like, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Get your fucking ass in your room and get changed and get in a goddamn car." I'm like, and I still don't know if they're messing with me. I'm like, because I was waiting for them to come out with cameras, everybody come out going, "Ah," making fun of me. But I literally waited until like the last minute. I'm like, "Oh, geez." So I went and changed, and and he's in the car. I'm like,
Tommy
all
was
right.
in the car?
Yeah.
He was in a
So
limo?
we went to Orlando.
Yeah. And you're still thinking the shoe's going to drop.
Well, no. Now that I'm in the car, we're going somewhere. I'm like, okay, he wouldn't go to this extreme to,
Mess with
me. So, we go up there and do the commercial. He was endorsing some athletic braces, and he wanted to use me as a model to put the braces on. One of the staff athletic trainers for the Dodgers. Blah 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 blah. And which was cool. I'd never been.
So it was actually real.
Yeah, it was real.
Wow.
Yeah. So we go to dinner that night, and when Tommy has dinner, he kind of holds court, like just tells stories. You just shut up and listen. Some of the amazing stories, you're like, oh, even when you hear it a second time, you don't care. You still want to hear it. Well, he had Todd Hollinsworth was up for like a potential rookie of the year that year. And we're in spring training. So we had like a mini press conference at the table because some reporters came up and started asking him questions. So I'm sitting there once again going, wow. I'm like, wow. And so we get in the car and we're driving home. And that was in 94 or 95 when they had the brick cell phones.
Yeah.
So he's making some calls. He goes, Homer, you want to call your mom, your dad? I'm like, can I? He goes, yeah. What's the number? So he dials it and he goes, what's her name? I was like, Lucille. So he called my mom. He goes, Lucille. Yeah. Who's this? It's Tommy Lasorda. And I could hear my mom's loud. She's like, what? And then he goes, here, Homer, give me the phone. So I said, Mom, it's Tommy. I explained who it was. She goes, oh, I gave him back the phone. So they talked for like 2 or 3 minutes. He was nice, but it just like made her life. And she's like, oh. So then he goes, who else you want to call? I go, you care to call my buddies back in college? He's like, no, let's call him. So my buddies call him. Have you heard this story? My buddy, he calls my buddies, and Tommy calls and goes, hey, this is Tommy Lasorda. And I can hear my friends going, fuck you, whatever. I'm like going, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, my God. So, and he's like, no. And he's like starting to argue with them on the phone. He goes, here, you talk to him. So I said, guys, it's Tommy. They're like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. They're like, fuck you. And they said it's in here. I'm like, no, seriously. And then they finally believed me, and I gave the phone back to him, and they calmed down. And I'm like, guys, just don't do that. Like, don't do that. Those are your boys. They think I was pulling their leg. And
I'm sorry, what year is this?
it's 95, I think.
And this is when you had that big phone, and having a car phone, you had to be loaded.
Yeah. This was a brick.
There was
the white opaque phone with the black antenna on it.
Yeah, and there's no photo, there's no pictures.
No.
I'm just, creating the picture
Oh,
of that time period of when you're doing this.
Yeah, so I'm like, first I never talked on a cell phone before, nor been in a limo. So this is awesome.
And a commercial.
Yeah, I'm knocking a lot of stuff out real quick. Planes, everything. So we go back, and the big league camp breaks like March 30th usually, or that last week of March, and they have a thing called extended spring training. Extended spring training for the Dodgers when they were in Vero Beach, they would share the complex with the New York Mets right there in Port St. Lucie. So we'd take a whole operation down there, and the people that stayed in extended spring training were the younger kids that couldn't make an A-ball, AA, or AAA, or big league club. So they were rookie ball players, short season players. So you'd have about 30 players down there, 30 to 40, and any major league or minor league rehab players that needed to do rehab. So we would rehab them there. The Dodgers put us up in like these townhomes, like Jason and myself stayed in a townhome. They gave us a van to drive around because we had to take the players everywhere. And, I was in short season baseball for Great Falls, Montana for 3 seasons, 3 years. So I was in extended spring training for 3 years, which, after the second year, you're like, because you're dealing with kids. I mean, they're all my age and younger. Like they're 18 to 22 or 25. I'm 22 to 24 at the time. So, but I was young and I had money, or at least I thought I had money. My first contract with the Dodgers. What would you guess my first contract was?
With the minor leagues or
minor leagues?
Minor leagues.
Out of college.
What year is this?
1995, I think, or 94, whatever.
10 grand.
It was, wow, you shot low. It was $16,000, 1.6.
Okay.
So I'm like, but coming from nothing to 16, I'm like, hey, I'll take it, man. I'm killing it.
Yeah.
So in Great Falls, we played in Billings, Montana, Ogden, Utah, Idaho Falls, Idaho, Medicine Hat, Canada, Lethbridge, Canada. Did I say Butte, Montana? Helena, Montana. It was beautiful out there. It's beautiful out there. It's just really, really slow. So did that. And then after my second year of short season, they have a thing called winter baseball. Winter baseball happens in Puerto Rico, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Australia, and Venezuela.
Don't they do it in Colombia too?
Colombia has one, yes.
Yeah.
But it's not as strong as the other ones.
Oh, okay.
So when you as a player or a staff member goes to winter ball, you get paid in cash. Which even if it wasn't cash, it's still more money than you would make in almost your whole season. So I think I was getting paid $2,500 to $3,000 a month in cash, which I'm like, amazing. It's like, wow. And they give you a place to live, and they give you meal money on top of that.
Damn.
So it was a pretty good gig. So I went down the first year not knowing what to expect to Venezuela. And so I get into Venezuela late at night. So now I've been into baseball 2 years. My Spanish is way better than what it was. It's still not great, but good.
Progressing.
Yeah, it's good. But I still have my Mexican accent. With Mexicans, they talk really slow, like, hola, yo hablo así, muy lento, como está, really slow. So I pull in that night with the taxi from the airport, and Clinton was in office, and Hugo Chavez had just taken over. So pulling in, we're at the Anauco Hilton, which is a residential Hilton right next to the Hilton in downtown Caracas. Pulling in at night, it's pitch black, but there's like security and military everywhere. I'm like, man, what's going on? I've never been. Once again,
you don't know what's going on.
Never been out of the country. Don't know what's going on. And actually, I had to live in Mexico for a little bit. That's a different story. So I checked in, whatever. Didn't think anything of it. So we go to the stadium, and in winter ball, the team is comprised of all Venezuelans, with the exception of you get 7 importados, what they call them. So they can be from anywhere else, just not from Venezuela. We had guys from Colombia, Panama, United States, whatever. So my job was the Dodgers sent me down there because it was a Dodger affiliate, the Caracas Leones, very famous team down there. I went to the most famous team, first job down there. And
nobody knows that, I don't think. Unless you're in it, that the Dodgers are affiliated with the team over there.
No, and nobody, unless you're Venezuelan, knows who the Caracas Leones are. It's like a 50,000 person stadium, I think.
Yeah, that's big.
Packed, by the way. It's like the NFL down there for us.
Yeah.
So I have all big league players for the most part. My first team, I had some of these names are you know them, you don't know them, whatever. I had Eric Owens was one of the American outfielders. Ozzie Timmons was an outfielder. He's now the first base coach the last few years for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Todd Walker was a second baseman for years with the Minnesota Twins. Chris Prado, he's up and down in the big leagues with San Diego. Who was the other gringo? Oh, and then we had, I can't remember the other gringos, but some of the Venezuelans. My lineup was basically borderline AAA big league when they were all in there. I had Carlos Hernandez, I think he had about a decade in the year catching. Roberto Pedagini, he was up and down in the big leagues, a lot of money in Japan. He's a first baseman. Alex Gonzalez, he was the shortstop, won a World Series with the Red Sox and Marlins. My third baseman was, I'm drawing a blank. One of my outfielders was Bobby Abreu, long time with the Phillies.
Bobby Abreu.
Bobby Abreu.
Yeah. Remember, my whole thing was Philly.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Yeah.
I used to go to games all the time.
Bobby's a good dude. Omar Vizquel was on that team, but he didn't play that much. Omar Vizquel, in my opinion, I don't know why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
This was all your guys?
Yeah, it's on the team.
Jesus.
Vizquel's not in the Hall of Fame.
Omar Dahl is a lefty. No, he's not. He should be.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous. You look at some of his numbers compared to people that are in there, you're like, why is he not in the Hall of Fame?
Thought he was in.
It's because he's quiet. He didn't engage the press.
Amazing.
Omar Dahl, left-handed pitcher up and down the big leagues. And then Ugueth Urbina was our closer. Oogie.
Man, you had a stacked team.
Ridiculous.
I mean, did any of them not go pro?
They were all in the big leagues already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in pro, but I just want to clarify something. When you go to the minor leagues, you're a pro because you're being paid. You're a professional.
Oh, okay.
Big leagues, minor leagues. That's how you distinguish the two.
Okay.
Because a lot of folks are like, oh, you can't be a pro player. I'm like, yeah, listen, you're getting paid, you're a pro. So minor league or big leaguer. That's how you
We're
differentiate.
talking minor leagues right now? Or are we in MLB?
We're in winter ball. We're in winter ball in Venezuela. These are major league players.
Major league players. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm a retard with this.
It's okay. So it's really cool down there. And I had a lot of hair and it was all blonde and long at that time. So it was pretty cool. Oh, yeah. And I spoke Spanish and I picked it up really quick being down there. So you leave the stadium and you're done. You're going through the locker room. Like before you can even get to the locker room, there's coolers full of beer. So your Polar is the beer there and it's really great beer. You got your buzz on before you're even leaving that joint. And you got a driver that takes you back to your place. And it's just great. And the food there is great. And at the time, it was very safe. Kind of safe. Not like it is now. So a funny story that first year, this is, well, whatever. I'll share the story. But I won't give out names. But I had a player as a roommate at the time in Caracas. And he was dating... Why he was dating this girl because she worked, I don't understand. So she was a working girl, but he was dating her.
Stripper.
And they spoke...
Stripper. Or hooker.
Yeah.
Hooker?
Number two.
Number two.
And
okay.
So...
dating a hooker.
Yeah. So they spoke the international language of love, obviously. So I came home one day, it was in the middle of the day, and the player was like... He spoke no Spanish, and she spoke no English, but they figured it out. And
sounds perfect to me,
dude. He was like, so go back to that first night. Remember all the military and everybody was there and whatever. And he's like, tell him, just tell him. And this girl's like scared to death. She's like, no, I'm good. And I was like, she like thinks that we're somebody and that we could like tell somebody or like. I started finally telling her, I'm like, listen, we're nobody. We're American, but we're really nobody. So I don't know what you have to tell me or don't want to tell me, but you really don't have to worry about it because it's not going anywhere. I don't know if you know this one or not. So I'm like, what's the deal? She goes, well, remember like a couple months ago when the President Clinton was here and his wife? And I'm like, was that? It was the night I pulled in. That's what all the military was for. They were staying in the other Hilton across the street.
To protect the Clintons.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, what's the big deal? She goes, well... And I didn't believe, I called BS on this until about a month later when this next story came up. So she's like, remember that night? I'm like, why? What? She goes, well, we got called over to the hotel. 4 of my friends did, or 4 of us total. Well, we went into a room and 2 were for Bill and 2 were for Hilary. I'm like, what? I'm like, come on, like whatever. And first off, I didn't exaggerate how much, like, it took me 20 minutes to get her. She was scared to death. And I'm like, just what the hell? What is it?
Let me make sure I'm following you. So Bill Clinton got 2 hookers. Hillary Clinton got 2 hookers. That's what you're saying?
Yes, that's what she told us.
Yeah, and I'm sure they
No,
did.
she was petrified to tell us, scared to death.
Yeah.
Females?
All females, yes, correct, all females. So I was like, whatever. I said, this girl's full of shit, whatever. A month later, I shit you not, the Monica Lewinsky thing comes out, and all this other. I'm like, well, and this girl was so petrified. I mean, she had no reason to fabricate that story. In the details she got into, I was like, wow. I mean, why would she out of nowhere just say, hey, by the way, 3 of my other hooker friends and I got called over to the hotel? I mean, what does she get out of telling us that?
Right.
I mean, I was like, wow. So I mean, like, wow. And now,
20
years later, 5 years later,
you're like,
I believe it.
Yeah,
I mean, after all the
absolutely.
crap that's gone on, everything you hear,
People just disappearing.
oh, I have no problem believing that. I have
Absolutely.
no problem.
Absolutely.
So, but I thought that was interesting. So anyway, that season goes on. We make it to the championship because they have a playoff all month of January and a 7-game championship series, just like the World Series. So we're playing this team called Lara, L-A-R-A, the Lara Cardinals. So they're affiliated with the St. Louis Cardinals. Look just like them, uniforms. So games go back and forth. We're up in the series 3-2, and we go play in Barquisimeto, which is Lara. And all we got to do is win that game, and the series over. It's over with. 40,000 fans there, easy. And they got behind the third base and first base and backstop, they have chain fences that go up 20 feet high, and like barbed wire on top, whatever. Because these fans are very animated over there. They're crazy. They love their baseball. Well, we're losing the game. And it's pretty apparent we're going to lose the game. It's going to go to Game 7 back in Caracas. Well, Phil Regan was my manager. Interesting note, he was the manager when Cal Ripken broke the record with the Orioles. He was the manager for the Orioles. He's my manager in Venezuela. So Phil goes down to the end of the dugout to Oogie, who throws 100 miles an hour. He goes, because this is very common. He goes, hey, Oogie, do you want to get an inning or two in to get some work in? He's like, no, I'm fine. Don't worry about it, Phil. I'm good. So, all right, fine, whatever. Well, the next inning, they had a guy, Carlos Perez was their pitcher. He was with the Blue Jays.
Jeez.
Throws gas.
Yeah.
Throws at our catcher. And we're all like, and everybody's like, oh, whatever. And the crowd's going crazy. It's their crowd. So their pitcher throws at our catcher, and he's hitting. Oogie gets up, walks down in the dugout, says, hey, Phil, I'll take the last inning. We're like, oh, shit, here we go. We're like, here we go. So we're like, yeah, you just know. It's like, this is not good. So he gets up there on the mound. So when you're pitching, okay, like this motion, when you go to your catcher like that, that's a fastball. This is a changeup. Like this is usually a curveball. You tell it to your catcher when you're warming up. You get the signs from them when you're pitching to a batter. Oogie got up on the mound. Their catcher was hitting. And he just goes, here comes some bitch. Here's a fastball. What are you going to do about it?
100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this guy, I want to stand up and show you. He was in the batter's box. I can't. I'll sit down.
You can go. We can go to YV. Go ahead.
He was in the batter's box, and he
Look in there to make sure you're in it.
And he was there, and he's batting, and he's like, you can just tell he's like, I know I'm going to get hit right now. It's not going to be good. So Oogie wound up, and he threw. This guy stepped back, because he knew he stepped back to get out of the way, still got it. Whack! Well, right in the ribs. Well, Ugueth Urbina is a man I would not mess with. He just got out of prison in Venezuela I think he burned one of his farmhands to death or something. He's crazy. Good guy, though. I love him to death.
Burn one of his
to me.
farmhands?
He did something really bad to him. I don't know exactly what he did. But anyway,
Hit him in 100-mile-an-hour ball in the ribs.
Oh yeah. So the catcher that got hit that was batting looks out at Oogie and he's like, "Yeah, screw that." And he just started fighting the catcher at home plate. He's like, he wasn't going to go out there because he knew he was going to get his ass kicked.
That didn't drop him?
No, I mean it hurt him, but you got to fight at that point. It's on. I mean, and stuff had been going back and forth the whole series, but when he did that, so the dugout's clear. Fights everywhere, and in Venezuela, in this particular stadium, they don't have the open dugouts. It was like a slit where you would kind of lean like this, and the ceiling was right here. You'd have to kind of crawl out to get out, kind of like a bunker. So for some reason, I don't know why, I still don't to this day, Roy Halladay, the pitcher, was on that team, and he kind of came in legs first with a couple other players, leg first into our dugout to like fight. Like, I don't know why you would do that. As soon as their feet hit the ground, they got just mauled. But the police in Venezuela, they have two things. They have these swords that they don't cut you with. They turn them sideways and they smack you with them really hard, like really smack you with them.
Like billy club or sword?
Sword.
Damn.
A sword, like a 3.5 foot sword. And they also have these stun batons. So it looks like a billy club, but it's zzz, zzz, zzz. They were smacking people, but wanding everybody, and it was frantic. And they turned around and looked at me, and I said, no, entrenador, I'm a trainer, man. I ain't doing nothing. Because, I mean, you don't want to be a punk and not help your team out and fight. At the same time, it's kind of an unwritten rule that trainer shouldn't be getting into that crap because he's a trainer.
And you're in Venezuela,
yeah.
where they don't care.
Yeah.
And they will beat your ass to no
There's
end.
fights all over the field. There's beer bottles coming over the fence. People are climbing the fence trying to get on the field. It was chaos. This went on for about 20 minutes. Like, chaos. Players laying on the ground, beat to hell. It was crazy. So they finally got everything calmed down, got the last 2 outs of the game, and I'm just like, whoa, this is my first year in Venezuela. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? So we get in the locker room, and I shower up real quick, and I get my trainer's kit and all my medical stuff. I'm getting ready to walk out. Phil's like, no. Phil Regan, the manager, goes, just put your stuff down here, and when we say it's ready to go, keep your head down and just walk. I'm like, that's all he said. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And you can hear this, you can hear the crowd outside of our locker room just screaming. Thousands of people.
They're loving it.
Thousands of people. Well, the game's over.
Yeah.
They want to kill us.
Yeah.
They want to kill us. So these metal locker room doors fly open, and there is like a row of riot police here and here with the shields and the helmets that made a row for us to get to our bus. So the door opened, and I wish I had video of this because I'm sure my face was like, what's going on? So I did just like Phil said. I put my head down and I just started like speed walking. And you got beers and beer cups and bottles hitting you in the head. And you make it to the bus. You get on the bus, and big nice charter bus. Excuse me. And I'm up in front with the coaches. Well, one of the coaches put his pillow on the window and kind of leaned down. And I'm like, so I was going to ask, why are you doing that? So I go, YR, and my window just shattered. I'm like, what the? So I'm down with my head between my legs.
Well, I guess you'll find out why.
The windows
now you know why he said to lean down.
The windows on the bus are just shattering. People are, It's crazy. So everybody got in. Bus driver looked back. He goes, everybody in? Hang on. He went, vroom. He hit a Volkswagen Bug. Boom. He hit it and just hauled ass out of there. So I'm like, you can't make this stuff up. I'm like,
again, first year.
First year.
Yeah.
You can't make this stuff up. I think I'm 23 at that point. And we get to the hotel. So you got two options. You can go home on the bus that night to Caracas, which is about a 6-hour ride, or you can wait till the morning and go on the plane. So I'm like, listen, my first year here, I'm 23. My mom and dad told me, be careful. They're circling our hotel, shooting guns in the air, celebrating that they beat us.
Oh, now we're at the gun point.
Oh,
yeah.
They're not shooting it up, but they're shooting them in the air.
Now we're at the point where we're using guns.
Oh, yeah. And they're celebrating. And I'm like, listen, I didn't come here to die. I'm having a good time, but I got to know when to say when. So I'm in back of the bus by myself with like maybe 2 or 3 other Venezuelans that are going back to Caracas because they have families or whatever they got to get back to. So I'm like, this is not even a decision. I'm out. I'm leaving. It's the right thing to do. And at the point, it's like midnight or something or 1 a.m. Well, I'm the translator for all the gringos. None of them speak. And all day long, I'm like back and forth. So I'm on the bus, but kind of falling asleep. Well, 5 of the gringos come on out of the 8. And they're like, you got to stay. I'm like, I mean, I got to stay. You got to come to our room and see what's going on. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, you got to come up here. And I'm like, guys, can't you just figure it out for one night on your own? I really don't want to stay here. It just doesn't seem safe. Well, they talked me into it. So I get up to the room, and there are all these Lara fans, these girls, fans of the other team, who are now fans of 7 or 8 gringos from the other team. And basically, I had to stay. I stayed. And
So basically, the girls were naked, got naked.
They eventually were naked.
Okay.
And they were very healthy girls.
Well, at that time, as a young man. So it was good that you got off the bus.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I just translated. I didn't partake in anything, but it was
Sure you did.
It was
Sure
an
you did.
interesting.
Sure you didn't.
It was a good reason to stay. It's a great story. And
Yeah, it is a great story.
And
I'm sure you didn't participate. You just stood there.
I really don't even
Just to make sure in case somebody got hurt. You have that athletic training degree. You were just watching over to make sure make sure nobody pulled anything.
on my mother's grave. I can honestly tell you, I don't remember what happened.
I don't believe you. But
I didn't do anything.
were you hammered?
No.
That's good.
You're like a kid in a candy store. You can only have so much candy. At that point, I was like, I just need to get out of here. Venezuela is a wonderful place.
Yeah.
So we ended up losing that last game in Caracas, and we went home. But after that, I mean, I met I went on a lot of dates there. I was single, had a good time. I spoke Spanish. I was on TV because of the games.
And technically, you're an American.
Yes.
Right? So, and they love Americans.
Yes.
I got a couple of my friends went there and said they
Yeah.
had the time of their life.
No. Well, some of the Miss Universes threw out our first pitch. They're beautiful women.
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful. I mean, they pride themselves in their women there. You talk to any Venezuelan, like, have you seen our women? Like, they love. They also.
Their skin's perfect.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
So I kept going down to winter ball. I did 5 years of winter ball, and all my friends and other trainers with the Dodgers and stuff like, why you keep going to winter ball? I'm like, man, I need the money, man. But it was more because it was just awesome. It was a great experience. Like ethnically, you got to exposed to all sorts of different things. They're wonderful people, and I was single, and there was beautiful women down there, and I got paid well. It was a good time. So I went to Caracas 1 year. The next 3 years, I was in a team called Pastora de los Llanos, and my last year I was in Magallanes, which is the second most famous team in Venezuela. So when I was in Pastora de los Llanos, I was in the gym working out, and noticed you kind of feel somebody staring at you. I look in the mirror, and there's this hot Venezuelan chick who's always working out in the mornings when we're working out in there. I caught her staring at me. Well, she's over in my house right now still. I brought her back over here with me. She's my wife now.
Oh, she's your wife
Yeah, it's
now.
my wife.
Oh, okay.
But she's a dentist there in Venezuela. I met her, and she has a practice. She had a practice.
You met your wife over there.
Yeah.
Oh,
We worked
I
out at the
didn't-
same gym. She was a dentist.
Oh,
She had a
cool.
practice with her mom and her sister over there. Yeah. So I met her over there, and we dated for a little while, and then she eventually in 2003 moved over here. So I did AA. Oh, then I went to A-ball in Vero Beach. I was the head trainer with the Dodgers. And then AA in San Antonio. I worked a season there. San Antonio is a wonderful town. Hot, very hot. But the Mexican food is
Dry heat, though, right?
whatever. No,
Hotter than here?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
at least we get a breeze here. There's no breeze here.
Yeah.
But the Riverwalk's very nice, and the Mexican food is excellent, and the cost of living is nothing. It's very cheap. So I enjoyed my time in that. Well, at the time, I had an opportunity. Athletic trainers move up just like players do. You got to have an opening, and you got to win a spot. Well, players rotate out a lot faster than athletic trainers do, because if you're a good athletic trainer or manager or hitting coach, you're going to stay there unless you do something stupid or you leave on your own. Well, my buddy got moved up to AAA. My old boss got moved to the big leagues, and I was at AA. And I was going to be at AA for a while because my buddy Jason from Nebraska was AAA, I'm AA, and everybody else below us. Well, an opportunity came up with Major League Soccer in Dallas to be the head trainer of Major League Soccer. And at that time, I was 27. I think, or so, right around there. And at the time, it was the 5th major sport in the United States, and it's still the 5th major sport in the United States. But I was like, well,
and number one in all
the
other
world.
countries.
It's a number one in the world. Number one in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it's called football.
Yeah,
in
football.
other countries.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, man, I tell you, it was a scary decision because the Dodgers were the only job I'd ever had out of college. But I took the job with the Dallas Burn. I think they're called Dallas FC now. And moved to Dallas. And I was a head trainer, 27, 26 years old, whatever, in a big league sport in the United States. And it was awesome. The athletes in soccer are very good.
You got to be in shape. I played a lot of soccer. You got to be in. That field is a big field.
Very big.
And to be able to run like that, full speed for the, I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, when I played, I mean, your kids play. Do your kids play soccer?
Yeah.
The fields aren't that. They're 10 times the size of what I played on in high school and everything else. When you look at the field, I don't know how it's possible to be in that good of shape.
Yeah, those guys are very good athletes,
and they train like hell, right?
Yeah.
Eat
they. It's kind of funny. Once again, we were all around the same age. I was the same age as the players, which it's a challenge sometimes because they have to respect you as a staff member, but they know that you're the same age as them, or younger. A lot of times I was younger, and they're kind of like, oh, listen to this guy. But those guys were good. Dallas is a great town, big town, a lot to do there. A little more expensive than the cost of living in San Antonio, but it's a great town. I loved it. They have Lake Louisville there. There's a lot to do out there. Great running outside. It's a good city. I think we did a 2-week training stint in Guadalajara, Mexico with Major League Soccer, which was pretty cool. And then we played all around the country. And one other thing we did in Mexico, actually, I apologize, in AA with the San Antonio, the Dodgers team, we won the first half of the season. So our staff was chosen to be the staff for the All-Star team, which wouldn't normally be a huge deal. This one was kind of cool, though, because it was the Texas League All-Stars versus the Mexican League All-Stars. So the Mexican League All-Stars came to play us in El Paso. And these were like AAA big league guys from Mexico came to play us. So that was pretty cool. So we played a game here and had festivities in El Paso. And then we went to Monterrey, Mexico for 3 days and just had a blowout. And I mean, we got off the plane at the airport and there were mariachis playing for us outside the charter bus.
Holy shit.
And singing. It was so cool. Singing and everything. And we get on the bus and there's Carta Blanca and all those different types of beer. And as soon as you get on the bus, and that was a really cool experience. And we had like this wonderful mariachi dinner outside and they really treated us like royalty. That was a really cool experience there in Monterrey.
Did your team who won? Who had won?
Don't even care. It was a blast. It was the experience overall. But it was good. I mean, I think they might have split. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But I had a number of big leaguers on that team, which is interesting.
You met them all.
Yeah. One of the guys is actually on the MLB TV now, Carlos Pena. He's on that TV.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. Yeah, so Major League Soccer was cool.
How long did you do that for?
Just for 1 year.
Just
1 year.
1 year?
It's a third world sport played in the United States.
Yeah.
So when you say that, I don't mean to say it condescendingly. It's just it's a challenge to get buy-in and organization. At the youth levels, for me, it seems to be more organized sometimes than at the higher levels. Because the youth programs in the United States have become pretty amazing. Sometimes I just, at least when I was there in 2001 and wherever the hell it was, it was just much less organized than Major League Baseball,
Well, in America, people don't really care about soccer that much.
No.
I mean, it's football, baseball, basketball. Soccer's out of the major sports probably at the bottom in America.
No.
And like Italy, they don't care about football. They care about soccer football. But like in Italy, I mean, soccer's everything. It's fucking everything.
Yeah, it is.
And Ecuador, soccer,
Yeah.
everything.
I had
mean,
Ecuadorian on my team.
It's major
Yeah.
shit. But Beckham, he kind of brought some light to
Yeah.
U.S. soccer when he did his thing. But other than him, nobody. I mean, I don't know anybody that watches it,
I thought it would have been further along now than where it is.
and it's not.
It's just not. Yeah. So we played in the Cotton Bowl there in Dallas, which was nice because it's the Cotton Bowl's historic. I mean,
Yeah, right,
The grass
right.
is like turf. It's really nice. Well, right next door to it is an amphitheater and the Texas State Fairgrounds, which is a huge deal. The Texas State Fair. Well, we always have security and everything at our games. And I started, shooting the breeze, security guards, talking to them, whatever, this and that. And they ended up telling me they did security at the Smirnoff Amphitheater next door. Because they were saying they had to go work this. I was like, oh, man, I love live music. Oh, you ever want to come to a show? Just come up to the front gate, ask for Scotty. I'll come get you. We'll get you in. I'm like, seriously? Whenever you want. Psh, mistake. So, because I was, single for all intents and purposes. And I would go to that front gate and ask for them. Scotty, come up and get me. I saw everything from Tim McGraw, Kenny Chesney, Ozzy Osbourne, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, Kiss. I mean,
You saw them all.
20, 25, like everything, whatever. He'd just come up, get me. He'd look, and be kind of like, he'd start laughing, come grab me, right down to the front. Right down to the front.
Yeah.
So, while not a lot of money in that, still, that contract was, I ended up at the Dodgers. My last contract was $26,000. That contract was $40,000. I was like killing
The
it
professional soccer.
with MLS,
Yeah.
Major League Soccer. Yep. And then after that season, they really didn't have anything organized or planned or whatever. I went to Winter Bowl. I went back to Venezuela. Back to Venezuela, Winter Bowl.
Wow.
Because like they have no plans, no practices, no whatever, this, that, and another. And I came back. They're like, "Listen, we're not going to renew your contract." I'm like, "All right." It's not. I mean, I wasn't upset about it.
Right, because you had backup.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
I had options, and I had met not all, but most of the other major sports athletic trainers in Dallas while I was there. So I went over to Jim Maurer at Valley Ranch, is where they were. Rob, your guy, probably heard of Valley Ranch. It's where the
Do you know where that is?
Dallas
Cowboys. Yeah.
Oh, he had
Amer- America's
yeah,
team.
Yeah.
America's team. So I went over to met with Jim Maurer at Valley Ranch, their training facility. And I said, hey, here's what just happened. I said, do you guys have anything, or would you need any help? I mean, I'm open to whatever. As per my background, I'll do it. I played college football. I mean, you got anything? I mean, whatever. Because an athletic trainer, you can work any sport because it's injuries,
An injury is an injury. Right?
Usually. Baseball's pretty specific, and I learned a lot there, but that's a different story. So he goes, hang on a second. He gets on the phone. He literally picked up the phone. And Jim Mauer's still with the Dallas Cowboys now as their athletic trainer. Through all these coaches, he's still there. He calls somebody, and he puts the phone on. And he goes, hey, do you want to be the head trainer in Amsterdam for NFL Europe? I was like, yeah. He goes, hung up the phone. He goes, all right, you're the head trainer now in NFL Europe in Amsterdam. I was like,
All right, so the timeline is picking corn things, playing with beans, shoveling pig poop, to playing, going into athletics, going to the Dodgers, going to professional soccer, and now you're going to go to Amsterdam to do NFL.
NFL Europe, I'm going to be the head trainer in Amsterdam.
And he was in the choir. We forgot the choir.
Oh, I forgot the choir. How could I forget the choir?
Yeah. So,
Which I'm sure he doesn't want to hear about. I'm just kidding.
so
So now you get to Amsterdam.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first, so I'm dating my wife now at the time.
How she
okay.
feel about this trip to Amsterdam?
Oh, my wife is really cool.
Yeah.
She's cool. Well, they have spring training first is in Tampa. So all of the NFL Europe teams converge on Tampa for about 6 or 8 weeks, and we have camp. And each team gets assigned a facility over there. Well, luck of the draw, whatever, we got assigned One Buck Place. One Buck Place is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers facility. So it was like, Gruden just got hired as the coach. So I tell you that because when a new coach gets hired in the NFL, they get extra mini camp practices just to kind of get them up to speed with their team and everything. So they had split the field in half, Amsterdam Admirals on one side, Tampa Bay Bucks on the other. So the Buck staff was just running around on pins and needles because he just came in like they had a semi truck there taking out all the old gym equipment. They were cleaning up everything. So we're running practice on one side of the field. Then I looked over one day and as a football fan, there's Mike. I don't know if you remember Mike Allstott. He's a running back for the Bucks. You don't know what?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Allstott, dude.
He just ran
He's
people over.
Yeah. He was over there, and then all the other players were over there, skilled players.
Warren Sapp was there.
Yeah.
I know Warren Sapp.
Yeah. One of my buddies was an athletic trainer with the Bucks, and he has stories about that guy. But anyway, so it was pretty cool. So we're one Buck place to do that, and we played games in Buccaneer Stadium. That was the other cool thing about Major League Soccer. We played in all the NFL stadiums around the country. Arrowhead, Kansas City, the Giants.
Yeah, that
the
would
Giants
be cool
stadium.
alone just to see.
Yeah, the Meadowlands.
And you're down there on the on the grass. You know what I mean? I think that would be really awesome.
And growing up a Big Ten fan,
yeah,
I always wanted to be an Iowa Hawkeye. I wanted to play in the Rose Bowl. Oh, it was so cool. Well, we played in the Rose Bowl against the LA Galaxy. So I'm down on the field, I was like looking around going, well, I guess I made the Rose Bowl. A little different from what I wanted, but I'm here.
You're here. Right.
And this is just athletes. This is how athletes are. One of my players gets hurt. And they stopped the game. They had me run out there to look at him. Because I told my players that story before. I'm like, I always want to be on the Rose Bowl, whatever. So I go out there to get to him, and it was our forward, one of our star players. I get out there, and he's a jokester. I was like, hey, man, what's going on? He goes, look up at the big screen. I look up, and he goes, you're on the big screen in the Rose Bowl. How do you feel about that, Homer? And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with you? He goes, nope. I was like, God damn it. I was like, you gotta be, I was like, you asshole. So I said, are you okay? He goes, yeah, I'm fine. So I got off the field. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. But
that was cool though.
No,
right?
but the cool thing is that I missed my high school class reunion. But they put a big screen on because our game was on ESPN, and my whole class from West Liberty, Iowa, saw me on the field in the Rose Bowl.
Panty dropper.
And they said it was like so cool.
Yeah,
I didn't get to see it, but I was like, yeah. So I think that's cool.
That is cool. That is really cool.
So one interesting thing about my time at Major League Soccer, I forgot about this. We were September 11th. We were flying to Washington D.C.
when the towers went down
to play the team in Washington D.C. So I'm driving to the practice complex. We're going to practice before we go, and we have a World Trade Center in Dallas as well. So they're talking about this on the radio. I'm like looking around, going, "The hell are they talking about?" Then I get to practice, and all my players are in the training room, look up at the TV, and I was like, "Whoa." So we're supposed to fly and play in D.C. the next day, the 12th. But we're supposed to fly there on the 11th. Well, clearly that got canceled. So I bring that up because we flew the first day you were able to fly again after September 11th. And I'm ethnic. I'm Mexican. I don't look like it or whatever. I'm not racist. I have nothing, prejudice, anything. The weirdest thing, when we went that first day to go fly, you never really noticed who did the x-rays, who did the checking in, but they all seem to be of some sort of Middle Eastern descent that specific day. And you have 25 guys between 18 and 32 years old who are in pretty damn good shape, and the coaching staff, getting on a plane, and we all say to each other, if anybody moves, it's on. When we get on the plane, it's basically just us and like 5 people because nobody's flying.
Yeah, nobody.
It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah,
and we flew and we played, but that's just an interesting story about 9/11. We were supposed to play in D.C. that next day, but it didn't happen.
Thank God. Well, I mean, that plane didn't hit anything, but
no.
It's good that you didn't get
no.
because you never know.
Yeah. So anyway, had a good camp experience there with the Bucks at the Bucks place with the Admirals. My head coach was the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans and worked with Jeff Fisher for a number of years. His name's Bart Andrus. So we go to Amsterdam. And in Amsterdam, they put us up in a residential hotel in a town called Utrecht, which is about 20 minutes from the stadium. We played in probably the nicest facility in NFL Europe. It was at Ajax Stadium Ajax is one of the better teams in soccer in the world. It's spelled Ajax, but they call it Ajax. It's a retractable roof stadium. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Turf,
so it's kind of like Dallas Stadium, but the whole thing goes back. I'm looking over at Rob.
Yeah.
So it's like that, but the whole top comes off.
Yeah. Yes. And so we played there. I remember we were going to play our first game, and we're warming up, whatever. And I have an assistant who was with the Broncos, and then a girl from London, Zoe, and then Eliza, who was a local Dutch therapist. So I had a staff of 4 working for me, or 3 or 4. And anyway, I remember I look over at Lisa or the team doc. I'm like, because there was an upper section up there. It was like caged in whole area of the stadium. I'm like, well, what's that for? Like, that's where the visiting fans sit. I'm like, what? It was like caged in, like a cage
they got
match.
a cage so they can't get out?
Well, so they couldn't get hurt, too, I guess.
Both, right?
It was crazy. I'm like, all right, these guys are serious. So I got to tell you, out of all the sports I've done, though, the opening of an NFL game, even though it was NFL Europe, it's the same opening. The fireworks, the running through the tunnel, the music, the cheerleaders. You want to punch somebody right in the face.
Just the rush.
You're just ready to go. And I'm an athletic trainer. What am I going to do? Tape somebody's ankle to hell? Like, watch out. But you just get pumped up. You
get the rush.
The goosebumps. You're like, yeah, let's go. It's so cool. So NFL Europe players are kind of like AAA players, AAA big league, meaning they're on the border. They're right there. They've played in the league already.
Are they good?
Yeah, they're good. They're very good. I mean, I had one of my linebackers, Paris Lennon. He ended up being with the Green Bay Packers as a middle linebacker for almost a decade.
Wow.
Tupe Peko, offensive lineman, he was up and down with the Colts for years as a Samoan guy. I had a number of guys that were really good.
I heard that now that you brought that up. I heard Aaron Rodgers is going to leave. They might trade him. Bill Belichick might get him.
You're really out of the loop. You need to get out of the witness protection program. He's no Belichick. It's just he doesn't want to be there anymore. But it's a long story.
Last time I looked, Bill Belichick was interested.
Shit. Well, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
I just figured you would know more than me.
No, he hasn't made it. No, he just doesn't want to go back to Green Bay.
Okay.
We played in Dusseldorf, Germany, Berlin, Cologne, Germany, Barcelona, Spain, Glasgow, Scotland. I'm missing somewhere else.
How was Berlin?
Cool. I mean,
right?
Berlin's cool because you can see where the wall was, like old and new. Frankfurt's the other one. But then you go to Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Well, that got the hell blew out of it. It's all new. So it's like, this isn't really cool. There's nothing. It's all new. I mean, it's not really that old because it's all new.
Yeah.
But Berlin, you can see the old and new.
Yeah, that's cool.
Barcelona was cool because it's on the water.
Oh, shit.
And we played in the Olympic Stadium in Barcelona. That was really cool.
That would have been awesome.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
The Spanish cheerleaders were very healthy.
I'm sure they were.
I flew my girlfriend, now wife at the time. She was over there with me for a month. Spoke no English really still, but you can get by. Glasgow, Scotland, amazing. I mean, the nicest people over there. It's very difficult to understand what they're saying.
Scottish.
Like, very, very, very thick.
All they do is drink?
They were they were drinking. Very nice though.
Yeah.
But they're hard to understand. You got to really focus.
Yeah.
But we went to some castles over there. It's like Braveheart, like William Wallace. The grass is green. It's beautiful. Like her and I have some pictures in some of the courtyards of the castles. It looks fake. It's amazing. And then anyway, so we had a great experience over there. I saw some of the injuries in football that I wouldn't have seen in the other sports, more traumatic injuries. It's socialized medicine over there. So the NFL, a year out, has to reserve MRIs for the following year. Otherwise, you can't get in. So it's pretty interesting. So it was a little struggle to deal with medical issues over there. If somebody really got hurt, and I couldn't fix them, or our staff couldn't, we'd send them back over. In Birmingham, Alabama is where Health South was. They had the contract with NFL Europe. So they did all the long-term rehab over there, post-operative rehab over there. So we'd send them over there if they needed something. Excellent experience. We're getting ready to go home. So I had planned. I'd never been to Italy. Being Catholic, I kind of want to go to Rome, check it out, and and I think that contract, that was a short-term gig. It was a short-term season. That might have been another $15,000.
In Italy?
No, in my NFL Europe contract.
Also
it was
in
nothing.
NFL. Okay.
But the season was getting over, so I wanted to go to Italy. So I stayed for the World Bowl, which is their Super Bowl. I was going to stay and go. Well, the week before that, we had our last game, and one of my players, big guy, he looked like the Gold's Gym shirt. I mean, he looked like ripped.
Jacked.
He came we had our team party on like Wednesday night into the season. Well, Thursday he comes, and I guess he got tanked or whatever. Thursday he comes to the training room, and he's like, oh, he's all hungover. My head hurts. I don't feel good. Whatever. I'm like, oh, probably because the player's like, it's because you got wasted last night. So don't think much of it. He's running around 1,000,000 miles an hour at practice because he doesn't want the coaches to think that he's got a hangover. Because when you're a pro, you have to conduct yourself accordingly because it'll get back to whatever team has sponsored you to go over there. So we board a train that afternoon to go over to Germany to play. Well, he comes back to my cart later on, and he's like, hey, man, I got a headache. I don't feel very good. I said, you know what? There's a certain point where liability, you want to take the liability out of your hands, and if you've kind of exercised everything on your end, you want to make sure that a medical doctor looks at it. So our team doctor was there. I said, hey, Doc, can you look at him to make sure? I called him over. It's a Dutch guy. I got to give him credit. He was ahead of it before I was. He goes, how much did you drink on the train over here? I had 3 or 4 glasses of wine. He goes, that's why you have a headache. Because you drank last night, and you drank 3 or 4 glasses of wine today on the way over here. So I'm like, geez. I missed that one. My bad. Well, like whatever, go to your room, whatever. I was rooming with the assistant athletic trainer. 4 o'clock in the morning, they knock on the door. I'm like, my players are constantly screwing with me. So I'm like, this better be important. I was cussing.
Yeah.
I open the door, and it's the player. And he's like, his face is dropped, and he can't talk. I'm like, this guy's having a stroke.
Oh, shit.
He's 23 years old. I mean, built like a brick shit house, like specimen. I'm like, and I'm in Germany. So I get in a car, and the light's barely coming up, the sun, and I start driving, and I can't read damn German signs, but I figure out how to get to the hospital, going the wrong way on wrong roads or whatever. I get him to the hospital, and he's having a stroke. They evaluated him, and he actually had the same thing that Teddy Bruschi had a few years ago. It's called a patent foramen ovale. It is a hole between the chambers of your heart, and when your heart beats, the blood can pool in there, and when it beats again, it can clot and go whoop up to your head. Well, that's what he had, and he had a little clot go to his brain. Well, we got him to the hospital in time, and he was okay. He had to stay. He couldn't fly back home for like 2 weeks, but his career was over. But like Teddy Bruschi, they sewed up the hole in his heart. He keeps playing. You know who Teddy Bruschi is?
Yeah.
So
what long-lasting effects did that guy have from the stroke?
I don't know.
Oh,
I never saw him.
But whatever it was, he couldn't play again.
They're not going to let a borderline player like that. The NFL is very, very thorough with their physical exams. Very. I mean, when we got to camp, we used the Tampa Airport Marriott for the physicals, and I was shocked, like what they go through for the physicals and the medical reports. They're all over them, all over them. And for a borderline guy like that, they're not going to.
So what do you think about like all this concussion stuff now and head injuries and that and this and that in football where it wasn't even spoken of 10 years ago, even 5 years ago? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
It's just like anything else. Science is evolving, and they're finding out a lot more.
Long-term damage,
And you also got to consider there's a lot of stuff that goes along with it. Because concussions are serious. At the same time, concussion symptoms can be funny. Meaning, I mean, I've never had a concussion myself.
I have.
I had players that roommates are just like, they're on the sideline in college. Like, hey man, are you okay? And he's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And he's just crying. Yeah. A big giant lineman. He's like crying. Like, I'm like, okay. You don't know. So the symptoms can be funny, but it's serious. And I think it's good. And I can tell you, with Rob, the last 5 years, they've done a good job of coaching the youth coaches on how to use proper form to make sure that those things don't happen as much.
So that you're hitting at the right spot.
You're not using
at a younger age. Yeah. Use your shoulder.
Yeah.
I've had 5 concussions, maybe even more. And when I get them, my symptoms are, I'll be like, Homer, where are we going? And you're like, we're going to McDonald's. 2 seconds later, Homer, where are we going? You can't, I can't remember anything. And I really don't remember asking it. It's like, I'm already 2 second Tommy to begin with. I'm 1 second Tommy with a concussion.
And it's a great amnesia.
And it's one hell of a fucking headache for a couple days. Boy, any little bit of sound when I was boxing, oh my God. I mean, I always won. And when I was playing football, I got them. I mean, you get hit twice in the head. That's pretty much, that one was bad. I had to stop for a year. I got my fucking quarterback who he actually, he went to, where'd he go? Purdue. He went to Purdue. He was starting quarterback for Purdue. And the prick through I'm running back. The call was to go around the corner, Well, he was supposed to wait to throw while he had pressure. So he throws right in the middle of traffic. And you know what I mean. Yeah. There's guys here, there's a guy here, there's a guy here, there's a guy here. And he threw it long. So
you had to go get it.
I had to dive to go get it. Well, when I dived to go get it, bam, all 3 of them crushed me. Fucking terrible.
Did you catch it?
I caught it. I caught it. I didn't know where I was, why I was there, what I was doing, and we were down. I went back out and played all fucked up. Yeah. I mean, and I got hit again. Yeah. And then when I went to the doctor was like, "Look, if you play, I mean, you got to," because I went back out after, because a concussion is when your brain swells and basically hits the skull and starts messing things up. And I finished that game. When I went to the hospital, the doctor would have been like, "One more hit, you would have had long-term damage. You cannot get hit in the head for a year. No boxing, no football, no fighting, no nothing." Thankfully, I listened to 6 months of that and didn't. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to probably speak a sentence to you.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, it's sad to see what's happened to some of the NFL guys. The sad thing about it is that it is very important. At the same time, today's media will take anything they can to get a good story.
Don't you think they kind of
exaggerate a story? I'm not saying you're not exaggerating the fact that it's serious. It is serious, but the amount that there are versus the severity that they make these stories out to be are just, they don't coincide with each other. There's not a correlation, and the higher level you go, the more chance you have of getting the CTE issues. Also, if you're a smaller person, frail, your cranium's not as thick to kind of dumb it down. You're more susceptible to stuff like that. I mean, it's going to happen.
Right.
But it's good. It's good that stuff's all come out. It's sad, like the Junior Seau stuff, and I think the Dave Duerson, I think from the Bears, I think also passed away.
So now I'll play devil's advocate because I agree with you that it's a good thing. Right? Well, as they start changing the rules, it gets like, remember, I don't know if you watch basketball, but like in basketball, you used to be able to hand check. Now you can't hand check. You got to use your arm. And now they're slowly dimming everything down, where my concern is that football will end up not being football. And you signed up for that. So you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit in the head, okay? You know that there's a possibility that you may never walk again and break a leg. You signed up for that. You went into the league. You're getting paid millions of dollars, and this is what you wanted to do. And when you go to box, you're getting hit in the head, other than Floyd Mayweather, but who only got hit once. Roy De La Hoya was the only one that ever really hit him good. But so you signed up for that. So I can understand restricting some of it, but not any further than what they're doing, because if you didn't want to get hit, then go be a doctor, go be a lawyer. This is what you want to do. This is the risk you're going to take. Just like a cop. Cop pulls somebody over. You don't know who you're pulling over. That guy might have a gun in the car and put it out the window. You chose to do that job.
I personally tackled wrong in college. I led with my head. I ruptured one of my teammates' spleens. I broke another one of my teammates' ribs.
But they chose to play football.
I fractured another guy's leg. Just random shit. But you can... What I don't like about what they're doing is that I understand, try to take the headshots out of it.
Yeah.
Take it out of it.
Yeah.
But some of the body blow stuff that's happening, if they're using their shoulder or coming up and just using their arms and not targeting with their head, I don't have a problem with that. But they're throwing flags on that. I don't like that because that takes away from the entertainment of the sport and the aggressiveness of it.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say that I think you should allow people to go head-to-head contact. That's crazy. Or a helmet to the knee. That's just wrong.
It's too hard for the defender because if I come at you, you're not going to stand there and go, okay, tackle me.
Right.
You're going to do what you got to do to juke, and they got to react to that. Well, if they're already launched and going at you at a certain angle and you move, they're going to get the penalty flag?
Yeah.
That's not fair.
It's like when the running back runs and he puts his head down.
They don't call that once.
He smashes into the guy. He's using his helmet as a weapon, but they're not throwing a flag on him. So
and you also got to think, right? Like they got all that adrenaline going on, right? You're in the heat of the moment. You're going as fast as you can to catch the guy, to hit him. And now you got to think, I can't do this. I can't. I mean,
I used to love, like, Brian Dawkins is one of my favorite players because he just used to kill people, like literally. And he led with his head, did things that he shouldn't. But I was watching the finals last night, Suns and Bucks. It is now a flagrant foul. Let's say you're shooting a 3, and I go to jump to block it, okay? And I come down and my foot comes forward. I'm the defender.
Yep.
I don't block it, you shoot it, but my foot comes down and you step on my foot. That's a flagrant foul.
Yeah, it used to just be a foul. Now it's a flagrant.
Flagrant foul.
And you know why they did that, I think, is because of Steph Curry.
It was. Somebody hurt their ankle really
Yeah,
bad.
it was Steph Curry.
Flagrant foul? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
See, and that's my concern with all of it, Homer. You know what I mean? Is that, as time goes on, now they're changing the name of the teams. It's just that's insanity. That's the political
social justice,
shit,
political stuff. Yeah, yeah. But as far as that, I think it's gotten a lot better, and the concussions are actually down. And I think they're doing a good job of starting at the youth level. I mean, it was a significant change about five years ago, like significant to the coaches.
Yeah.
At the same time, being a former football player, but also a sports medicine guy, some of the youth coaching stuff I saw, they like, for example, Pop Warner. That's what we coach, Pop Warner. You have to take all these courses, all these certifications, and all of this training in order to be a coach. Then you have to sign off on this document. What the document basically is saying in all the fine print is, we taught you. You're liable. So if anything happens to little Johnny, it's on you. So the drills that we've done for years and decades, you can't do now. Like, you can't do. Some of them shouldn't be done. Some of them should not be done, period.
Unless you're a specific coach that we remember that would do certain drills we didn't agree with. But
which one?
Mr. Greg.
Oh. So, but it just takes out, you're not really teaching the kid, because football's a cool sport. And the simple fact that you can get people from all sorts of different backgrounds. And for me, with the exception of probably wrestling, it's one of the few sports to where you have to rely on 10 other guys, number one. And number two, you're exhausted. You're exhausted. You're trying to move that man where he doesn't want to go. He's trying to move you where you don't want to go. And you're trying to kill the guy with the ball that's behind him. Or he's trying to keep you away from killing the guy. So you're exhausted.
Yeah.
You got everything you got, and you're relying on these guys next to you. That brings a young man to another level of their maturity, in my opinion.
And now you have to be careful with, on top of being exhausted, working that hard, you now have to think, oh shit, I can't do this. I can't do that or I'm going to get a flag.
Well,
I mean, that's a lot to deal with.
Well, you got to be an athlete.
Imagine like the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter of a tough game, how tired you are. Now you got to also think, oh, if I touch the fucking guy, I'm going to get a flag. You know,
but you want him to react. You don't want him. You want an athlete to think. You want him to react. And I just think that by them taking away some of these drills and putting a lot of the liability on these volunteer youth coaches, it takes away from the experience for the young kid, because they're not really being put in that, that situation that I mentioned. Like, you're completely exhausted. Hey, little Johnny, you're 13. You're exhausted. You can't breathe. You've been playing for an hour. You're sweating your ass off. But you got to get down in your stance. You got to know what the snap count is. You got to know what your job is here. You got to hope to God that Sam does it next to you and go. I mean, that brings a kid's maturity level up to another level. And it brings them up to another part of their life. They're like, man, I didn't know I could do that. That was really hard. And I didn't know I could do that, but I did. And I kicked ass at doing it. And that's what I don't like about what they're taking out of some of the youth Pop Warner football sports.
And in my opinion, it's just begun.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just begun. I think it's going to get worse.
Oh,
and worse.
There's a Dan Levitard guy. He's a big liberal guy in sports, no longer on ESPN, which is shocking because they're super liberal. They gave him the boot. He thinks it's the gladiator sport of today's day and age, and it's going to be done within a number of years.
Wow.
I don't think it'll be done. It'll just become almost flag football.
I think
like the Pro Bowl.
Like the Pro, yes, correct.
Yeah,
it would be like the Pro Bowl. Yeah, it would.
I mean, I think they'll still hit, but I think it will turn into some type like a flag football with like It's just. Yeah. I hope it depends. I think it's it depends.
I think like Homer said, the headshots leading with your head. Okay, I get it, but sometimes there's a big hit and you hear a crack.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean the guy hit him with his helmet. It may look like it, but
well, they'll throw a flag,
and then they'll find the guy. I don't know what they find them now, $50,000 or.
But again, you go box, you're going to get hit in the head. They're not doing this for boxing. See, part of me, I understand and I agree because I don't want anybody to ever have long-term damage that doesn't deserve it. But at the same time, you chose to go into that sport, so it's like a yin and yang. What I did want to ask you, because I see all these players and people like Adrian Peterson tore his ACL, and in 6 months he's back, running back, fast as balls. Mm-hmm. He went to Germany, got the stem cell, whatever they do, where they take all the blood out of you and they put the new blood in you with the cell platelet
enriched plasma.
Yeah.
Or they take out bone marrow and they spin it and they get their stem cells out. But go ahead.
Is that what they? Yeah,
that's two different things.
Tell me the one. What's the one where they redo your blood and like you get all red for a while? My friend used to do it, and
it's like a natural human growth hormone. They spin your blood and inject it back into you.
Well, that's platelet-enriched plasmas where they take your blood out, they put it in a centrifuge.
Yeah.
I just got that injected in my 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's really good for you, right?
Yeah, it's good for all sorts of stuff. There's that, and then there's stem cell, where they like go in, I had that done as well a few years ago, into your hip, and they take out the marrow. And the same thing, they spin it in a centrifuge, and they get out the stem cells, and then they inject them back in to an area of what you need.
So, like, what did Adrian Peterson do?
I don't know.
I mean, because he was back, he tore it twice.
Can you Google that one? I don't know.
Yeah, he
didn't tear it twice. He tore it once.
Are you sure? I thought you know more than me.
Yeah, you only know once.
Yeah, but and he's one of many. Kobe Bryant.
He's a freak. My buddy I worked with went to college with him in Oklahoma.
Peterson.
He said that nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
He would do box jumps. I think he said with 100-pound dumbbells. Like, he's a freak.
Genetic freak. Yeah.
He's still playing at a pretty good level in the NFL, and he's got a lot of miles on him.
A lot of miles, a lot of hits, a lot of injuries.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thanks.
Tremendous. It says Adrian Peterson recently made a tremendous recovery after ACL reconstruction.
Yeah, he serious injury, tearing both ACL and MCL in his left knee.
Reconstruction, months of physical rehab. The Viking star made a stunning recovery in order to start the season with the team. Peterson led the league. Witness doesn't say really what he had, but
Well, it says he tore his ACL
ACL,
and
MCL.
So
And
that
MCL.
when you ACL, MCL, it's called the unhappy triad: ACL, MCL, and medial meniscus. That's usually what you do when you tear your ACL. Unhappy triad. So medial collateral ligament is the ligament on the inside of your knee, and anterior cruciate ligament is your ACL.
and he also
I
messed up his quadriceps, hamstrings.
had a friend I played high
He's
school
got a
ball
lot
with.
of miles on him.
Got rolled up offensive lineman, got pushed one way, stuck, tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL. All three. So I guess that's not very good either.
So what? They're just getting stem cells, Homer?
You can.
I mean, what? I mean, in your opinion, what is he going to like Kobe Bryant, right? When they were playing the Sixers in the finals, I was actually in Mexico. I was in Puerto Vallarta at the time. When they were playing the Sixers in the NBA Finals, Lakers and Sixers, his knee, there was nothing left. It was bone against bone. But he was nuts. He played hard and didn't give up. He went to Germany, and he was back the next year, and it was literally bone against bone. And I'm just curious, as an athletic trainer, Adrian Peterson,
There's
Kobe.
you're talking about two different things.
Okay.
Bone on bone there's nothing you can do about that. God gave you so much cartilage into your bones, and that's all you get. Period. With the soft tissue injury, like you're talking about with him, you can get things to speed it up. But I think he might have gotten something, Adrian Peterson, but you need to look at the athlete. That guy was a freak to start with. It's not uncommon to be back in 6 months from an ACL. It's just not. For a normal athlete, you get a guy like him, one of the best athletes in the world, what's the problem?
Well, like Kevin Durant, he tore it. He was out 8 months. He's back. He went to Germany for a while though. What are they giving over there?
I don't know. I don't.
I believe it's. I could be wrong, but I believe that it's stem cells that aren't legal here yet.
It was like when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl back in 2004, 5, when they played the Patriots the first time. T.O. broke his leg.
Yeah.
In like week 16 against the Cowboys. Roy Williams tackled him from behind and snapped his
I
leg.
remember that.
And they made it all the way to the Super Bowl, and they're like, "There's no way in hell he from a broken leg." And he went to like a hyperbaric chamber and all that.
Hyperbaric
shit.
chamber, yeah.
And that like he healed like that. He was out. He had
It was his fibula. It's a non-weight bearing bone. You really don't, knock on wood, don't need that. But hyperbaric chambers, a lot of athletes sleep in those every night now.
I was reading about that. Can you explain what that is?
It increases the oxygen in your blood.
But what do you do? Like, what is it?
It's a hyperbaric chamber, so it pressurizes you. You never been in one?
No.
They're very good for wound healing,
Mm-hmm.
and it just body rejuvenation in general, and increasing your red blood cell count, which is repairing.
I mean, is it like
tissue.
an IV booth that you go in?
It looks like if you were going to go send a scuba diver to go practice pressurized diving,
Type that in.
hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah.
It looks like a tube. You just close the door, and they crank it down, and you just crank up the pressure, and you can buy them now and have them at home. It's right there.
Now, if you don't have an injury, is it good to go into?
They're good for everything. I mean, increase your VO2 max, your lung capacity.
Jesus.
Well, you can get them at home. There's home ones, like the athlete. A lot of athletes have them now, at home.
And you just lay in there, and then do you do it now? Current? Like, do you go in?
I haven't done it in a long time. You got to be careful though. You'll blow up. Like
You'll blow up? What do you mean?
explode.
Why?
Because these things are pressurized. You got to make sure that it's done right. It's all set up right. See, these are wound care clinics right here. See those industrial looking ones there?
Wow.
Yeah, they heal wounds, like open wounds, very well.
And now how long average do you go in there?
Hour.
An hour?
Yeah, I think it's an hour.
So you wouldn't recommend that if you don't have an injury as an athletic trainer?
If you have the money to spend and you're a health and fitness freak, or you're an endurance athlete,
There's eBay, $2,000.
I would do it.
You would do it?
Yeah.
Would you do it? Like, how often would you do it? If you had one at your house, how often would you do it? And you're in shape.
If I didn't catch a world of shit from my wife, I'd sleep in it every night.
Really? You would do a half?
Yeah.
How long would you do?
I would sleep in it.
But you just said you would blow up.
No, like if things aren't connected and done, like explode because of the pressure.
So you're when you say explode, you mean
Not you or your body. The damn thing will blow up.
the machine?
Yes.
Oh, I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna fucking blow
No,
up.
no,
I thought that's
no.
what
Like I'm not getting in that motherfucker.
No,
So
no,
is
no.
Is
no.
that what those, like, if you look to the left there, Homer, you see the like leg looking things? Is that
No.
sort of that too, or no?
No, that's
I always see
that's
people using those now.
That's a compression recovery boot. What that does is just causes vasoconstriction, compression, to get the swelling out.
Now, have you put any of your athletes in this?
Hyperbaric chambers?
Yeah,
No, because they weren't at the,
at that time.
I spent most of my time in baseball, and they're really not into that.
So really, if your wife would allow you, you would get that and go in it every day.
Yeah,
For you wouldn't sleep in it.
yeah, I would.
You would sleep in it.
Yeah,
It's that good for you.
yeah.
If it doesn't blow up.
Yeah, I mean, blowing up meaning like
I
it's
know.
a rare random.
Yeah,
thing.
you get a professional
Yeah.
to wire the.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a 220. Yeah,
220, 110, 220. Whatever.
but like you would, for example, say somebody wanted to get it, an hour a day would be good.
yeah,
Interesting.
You know,
All
to
right.
get Homer for Christmas.
Yeah.
Hyperbaric chamber. For
Wow.
sleeping.
No. If the wife says no,
Oh,
I'm nope.
Well,
I'm
if I
not
could get
opening up that can.
if I could get an hour a day, I'll take an hour a day in that thing.
you would.
Yeah,
You think it would be
because you can look at that. I can sit there and work on my laptop or I do work inside of there, read whatever.
and again, just to make it clear, and what is the benefit to that in general? Not like
it's-
if I don't have an injury, it's just like we're going in it, Rob's going in it every day. What is the benefit to a healthy, normal person of doing
It's
it?
supposed to increase your oxygen, your red blood cell count, is my understanding. Because like people that go scuba diving and come up too fast and they get the bends,
Yeah.
they stick them in one of those to kind of get them back to normal.
I almost had to do that one time.
You came up too fast?
I came up way too fast.
Yeah, well, you need to get a yacht master because you can hit the button and it shoots up.
What?
Yeah, you hit the button. You hit the second button on there.
This one?
Yeah,
And it does what?
I'll show you how to work it.
I just got it for looks. I don't.
Yeah. and by the way, he's got a yacht. That used to be 32. That's 55. I'm telling you, look at it right now. You want to see? Go to ebay.com real quick, and we'll get into his company. Put in Rolex, two-tone, Yachtmaster. Probably
Yachtmaster
Yachtmaster
2.
2. And then just, yeah, it's usually 2 lines. I know. Go back up. Put master and then just 2 eyes. Okay. Right there. 30. Well,
Oh,
no, it's still 30. But that's pretty owned. Oh. Wow.
That's still more than I paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's nice.
Put in one more time. Go back up and then we'll move on. Just instead of two-tone, just go Rolex Gold Yachtmaster. So, yeah, that one's 10 more than it was. Yeah, I have that. That's 10 more than it was, but they're used, but they went up.
You have that one?
I just showed it to you on
And you got that through your bar?
my marketing company. Yeah, I get paid for fucking jewelry. So you do all that, and then what did you do in Canada? You were with the Orioles.
Oh yeah, the Orioles. I did that one season of NFL Europe. Then I came back. I said, try baseball one more time. I told myself when I was 30 years old, when I was driving around in extended spring training at 22, I said, when I'm 30 years old, if I'm not knocking on the door or in the big leagues, I got to reevaluate what's going on. So took a job for AAA, which is right below the big leagues, in Ottawa, Canada, for the Baltimore Orioles. My wife had just came over. We just got married, but she couldn't leave the country because she was getting her permanent resident visa green card processed. So I left her poor ass with my mom and dad in Iowa.
She was okay with that.
She didn't have much of a choice. She couldn't go anywhere else.
Cold as hell. In
Yeah,
Canada, right?
because she couldn't leave the country. So went up to Ottawa, AAA there, pretty good, good experience. Got in the playoffs, I think. Yeah, we did get in the playoffs. Did pretty well. Had a number of players get in the big leagues that year from our club. A number of players stayed and had long careers in the big leagues from that club. One of the players from that club told on a lot of other players for using steroids. Kind of threw a lot.
What
of
year is
people
this
out.
in Canada?
2003.
Now, are they real strict over there with the drug policy?
I don't know.
When you were there.
Canada?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, with the you were doing the Orioles.
Yeah.
I'm saying, were they testing all
No,
the time?
you can't with the collective bargaining agreement for Major League Baseball, you can't test for steroids. You couldn't. Maybe the new one you can, the other one you could not.
Really?
Yeah.
They can now, though, right?
I think for some sort of performance enhancing drugs they can, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they can now.
Yeah.
And you were what? You were there for a year?
Yeah.
Did you like it or not?
Ottawa?
Yeah. I mean the job.
The Orioles organization was
Not the Dodgers.
not the
organization?
Dodgers. Not the
That
Dodgers.
We
Yeah.
would say it nicely, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now you go from that. What's after that?
Yeah, so I'm driving home my new wife, because she finally got to come up because she got her green card.
Awesome.
And get a call from the front office, I think it was the GM or assistant GM, I can't even remember now at this point. Oh, in the front office, whatever. He's like, hey, did a good job. Because in the minor leagues, as an athletic trainer, you not only do all the injury stuff, you also take care of all the travel. You're the traveling secretary. Flights, moving players up and down,
Jesus.
hotels, buses,
Logistics.
all that stuff, yeah. But we're bringing in new staff. We're not going to renew your contract. I'm like going, because if you need a recommendation, you need references, let us know. You did a good job for us. But that's sports, though. You know, when you get into sports, you see all the time, hey, new staff, organization came in, clean house, next. So I'm driving with my wife, and I look over, I'm like, yeah, you got to be shitting me. I was like, well, we got to make a decision here. Because, got to make a decision. Because now I'm married. I'm 30 now. And I told myself, got to reevaluate. But I was knocking on that. I was in AAA. So all my friends in college had been bothering me. They went in the pharmaceutical or medical device industry, and they had bugged me for years to try to get into that, and I just kind of held off. And they had pretty good lifestyles. They were making pretty good money. I didn't have a pot to piss in, but I was having a great time. Great experiences. I'm so happy I did all of them. But anyway, one of my friends from Iowa was with Forest Pharmaceuticals, got me an interview. I did the interview. The guy was intrigued with my sports background. Kind of a fan.
Who wouldn't be?
Kind of a fan or whatever. Every interview I'd gone on said, "Oh, you got all the medical experience in the world, but you don't have any sales. We can't really hire you." And I'm just like, "Geez." So I got shot down by everybody. This guy hires me, so I had to go back to Iowa, and I hadn't been there for a long time.
A little bit of a difference, huh?
Yeah, man. So one of my classmates from West Liberty had a house, like a duplex or whatever, I don't know, townhome, and he rented out the downstairs to people usually, or the upstairs. So my wife and I rented out the upstairs, and I worked for Forest Pharmaceuticals. One of the guys I met in my training class in Comac, Long Island, he was from Florida. He called me. He's like, "Hey, man, there's an opening down here. You want to see if you want to transfer? I know you don't want to be down there or be in Iowa." I was like, "Well, let me see." So I talked to the manager. The guy flew up to ride with me, and he gave me the job. So I transferred down to Florida. So I was only
Palm Beach from the gate.
Yeah, so I was only in Iowa for probably 6 months.
And you're ready to go, I bet.
Yeah,
right?
then I got transferred down. So my territory was basically Palm Beach County, part of Palm Beach County, but we lived in Deerfield Beach.
And what were we doing? Just closing deals?
Pharmaceutical sales. I had a medication called Lexapro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, depression.
Another one called Namenda, which is an Alzheimer's drug, and Benicar, blood pressure drug. So just did that for a while because I basically wanted to get into pharma because my buddies told me, just get into pharma, get the sales training because it's good, cut your teeth on that, and then get into medical device. You can get into the OR. That's where the money is. I'm like, all right, okay, whatever. So I did that. I was here for 2 months, and my mom passed away out of nowhere, out of the blue.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that just completely sucked in 2004. And then I interviewed for a medical device job. A recruiter called me. It was a company called Integral Life Sciences. It was a startup division of an existing company that had already been there. It was their plastic and reconstructive division. So they had a synthetic skin for plastic reconstruction and for trauma injuries. It was it's a mouthful. Bovine type 1 collagen with a silicone laminate layer.
I actually kind of know what
Yeah,
you're talking
so
about,
basically it was a matrix. So you'd put it over exposed bone, you'd rough up the bone and get it to bleed, and then you would lay it over and suture it in. So it was a matrix so the dermis could grow back in there, but the silicone acted as an epidermis. It was the wound was closed for all intents and purposes. Very expensive stuff. And the guy hired me to cover Florida. Great guy named Dan McKenna. Taught me all the stuff I knew in the medical device industry. Good dude. And they, with the divisions up and going, and then they acquired some foot and ankle and hand and wrist orthopedic implants. And then we had a nerve tube to put, if your nerve was severed, this nerve tube, collagen tube, you could sew into the nerve here and the nerve here, and the nerve would grow back together inside this tube.
Wow, that's awesome.
Pretty cool. Anyway, all these people, they wouldn't hire me. There's other interviews I went on. The pharma guy hired me. This guy hires me for our first device job after a year in pharma. A few bad, unfortunate trauma injuries happened where Jackson Memorial Hospital and Broward General Hospital had to use a lot of my skin. This poor lady went and got a cheap liposuction in Miami, and she was a flight attendant. She got this thing called necrotizing fasciitis. It's a flesh-eating disease.
It's a what?
Flesh-eating disease.
Okay, where it's eating your flesh.
Yeah. They had to excise. She was a beautiful woman too. For a discount liposuction, from her ankle all the way up her thighs, front and back, circumferentially. It's excise meaning take the skin off because it's eating away. The flesh is eating away. All that was left was a little hair by her vagina. Gone.
No skin.
Gone. Her breasts were there. They left her breasts for whatever reason. I think her both arms. And her whole damn body was.
You saw this?
Yeah, I had to work in the OR and tell the doctor.
Well, I guess you're used to
tell the doctor how to put the product on. So anyway, I got number one in the country. I was number one rep in the country.
Congratulations.
For the year. Thanks. Yeah. So I thought it was kind of a big, middle finger to all those guys that wouldn't hire me.
Yeah.
Like I told you guys I could do this.
Well, it worked out well, right?
Yeah. So, and then I went on to a larger company called Medtronic, who they invented the pacemaker. A guy by the name of Earl Bakken.
Wow, really?
Invented the pacemaker.
That's huge.
Yeah, and I got hired by them, and my territory was Palm Beach County, but we still lived down in Broward. Then I had my little boy Ignacio, and we decided to move up north.
I like that name.
Thanks, because it's just quieter up here.
Yeah.
But so that guy was a pioneer, by the way. He invented the pacemaker. They used to have blue babies in Minnesota. When the power would go out, these blue babies that had heart problems, they would die because they have an external defibrillator hooked up to them. But when the power would go out or they lose power, the machine would shut off and they would die.
And so people know, what's a blue baby?
The blue baby, they're born with some sort of heart defect to where they're blue. They're not getting enough oxygen, and they look blue.
To the brain, yeah.
Yeah, the heart's not working right. So Earl Bakken, who was an electrical engineer by training and another medical doctor, cardiologist, invented a pacemaker. It was outside the body, but they figured out how to keep it going. So they've obviously miniaturized it now to where it's really little.
Wow.
So he was actually
unbelievable that you worked for him.
Yeah, he actually happened to be on campus in Minneapolis one day when we were training, and he came in and talked to our class. He's like a medical pioneer. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Wow.
Met him. One guy I forgot to tell you guys about with the Dodgers. Our team physician with the Dodgers was a guy by the name of Dr. Frank Jobe. So when I got hired, all my professors at St. Ambrose were like, "Oh, you're going to get to work with Dr. Jobe." I'm like, "Who's Dr. Jobe?" And then they pulled out like 10 textbooks. They're like, him. I'm like,
he wrote all the textbooks.
You ever heard of the Tommy John surgery?
Yes. Yeah.
He operated on Tommy John. He invented the surgery.
He invented Tommy
Yeah.
John.
Dr. Frank Jobe.
So now you met the guy who invented the pacemaker and the guy who invented the surgery for the Tommy John.
He operated
Wow.
on Tommy John. He invented that.
I don't even know how I'm going to type up your description because you've done and met so many people and you know the 25 years old that you are I'm going to have to.
Yeah, so he taught us a lot. Dr. Jobe did.
Wow.
So whenever we would go to a city or we'd have doctors come in, they would always yield to the athletic trainer. Not because we're medical doctors. It's because baseball injuries are so specific. You don't see them in the general public. So they would ask us, they would call us out of the room because they didn't ever want the player to know that they didn't know. Like, well, what do you think it is? We're like, well, this is what I think. Like, I think you're right. Yeah. So anyway, Medtronic, we had a spine. They look like spinal cord they look like pacemakers, but they're a spinal cord stimulator. A little silver thing. They implant in your butt. They put these leads up inside your spine for chronic pain patients, and they have little electrodes on them. And you'd have a remote control, and they could turn it on, and it sent electric impulses to their spinal cord down to their extremities. So it would mask the pain that they would normally have from a car accident or a back surgery or something. That was the one product we had. The other product we had was an intrathecal drug delivery pump. So when you take an oral medication, you got to take a lot because it goes to your stomach, your liver, and everything. Excuse me, before it actually gets into your system. With an intrathecal drug delivery pump, they put a catheter in your cerebral spinal fluid. It only requires 1/300th the amount of medication that you would have to take orally when you use the pump.
Because it doesn't have to get broken down
right
by the liver, the kidneys, because by the time it gets to your blood, it's half.
This goes right into your cerebral
Yeah.
spinal fluid. And it's a little pump that you can refill right through their abdomen. And you program it to release medication however they need it. You can program it to what they call bolus. So like if you wake up in the morning and you feel like crap, and you wake up at like 8 o'clock in the morning every day, at 7 or 7:30, you can program it to say, hey, give them a bolus. Give them a little blast of extra medication at 7:30. So when they wake up, they're like, whoo, here we
Let's
go.
go.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So those little spinal cord simulators, about between 20 and 35,000 is what we bill out, depending on which model it was. And the intrathecal drug delivery pumps between 10 and 15,000.
That's not too bad.
No, but it adds up though.
If you need it. If you need it.
So I took. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Were you salary or like scale-based, commission-based?
Base plus commission.
Base
on
plus
both
commission.
in both roles.
Okay.
And that first medical device job I had with Integra, I was #1 in the country.
Yeah.
I made more in 1 year than I made in my whole career in athletic training.
Yeah.
My entire career in athletic training.
What percentage did they give you in commission?
Oh, geez.
Roughly. I'm just curious.
That one wasn't good. That one was like a $40,000 base salary. It was between like 6 and 15%, depending on what the product was.
Right.
And every product had a different rate because it's their margins. They depend
Right.
on what
They depend. Yeah.
And with Medtronic, they gave me a territory. So there's 3 spinal cord stimulator companies. 3. Boston Scientific, St. Jude, and Medtronic. Medtronic invented it as well. So I always joke with everybody when I took over my territory, our territory was number 4 out of 3 companies. We're last bad. I had, I want to say it was 850, 900,000 in revenue the year before or something. I did 3.2 my first year.
Wow. Killed it.
I missed rookie of the year by 1 person.
Yeah.
But I got just barely missed it too. It pissed me off. But I got to go on President's Club and I was recognized. I was basically number 2. So a little disappointed in myself. I've been able to kind of, win all the stuff before then.
Inch up, yeah.
But so I stayed there for about 5 years. Great experience. Learned a lot about the industry, medical billing, prior authorizations, insurances, because we get involved in all that. A lot of interactions with patients because we would program the patients to make sure they felt better. And we're also in surgery, going through the surgical technique with the doctors, helping them so they don't get stuck. Take a step back. While I was at Integra, made good money, but I had opportunities to make extra money. So, a guy approached me actually from Allentown, Pennsylvania.
My father lived
Yeah.
in Allentown for a while. Bethlehem.
yeah,
The
so-
Lehigh Valley Mall was right there.
He had external fixators. You ever seen those people with like the little halo around their legs with pins going through? Those things bill out between $10,000 and $30,000. Okay, and they cost nothing to make. So I met this guy, and I already had the contacts with the podiatrists and orthopedic surgeons because of my plates and screws. So I started selling that on the side as a distributor along with my Integra line.
There's that entrepreneur, right?
So I was making between, which at the time is good, between 10 and 50 grand extra a month.
Shit.
You know,
Yeah.
and a pretty good gig.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I always tell my wife, I'm never not just doing one thing at a time.
Yeah.
You always got to do more than one thing. If you're not double dipping or trying to generate more revenue, I mean, you're
Well, that means you get content and you're just going to be
Yeah.
sitting on the couch with a bag of chips.
yeah.
You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Bag of chips with the yellow and blue nut
Tiny
huggers.
whities.
Rob's heard that
Potato
somebody
chips.
does. Because that's what happens. People get, you go up north where I used to live, some of the same people are doing the same shit, miserable fucking life. They go to work, they come home, they get undressed with their hairy stomach, sit on the couch with a bag of Utz chips, Budweiser. They get hot because they got the fan on or some shit, and they got blue and yellow Hanes nut huggers with their legs out, beer, Utz bag of chips, watching the TV.
Why blue and yellow underwear? I don't understand.
I don't know. I just remember seeing
No,
that. I remember seeing
It scarred you for life?
Yeah, I remember my friend had a party and we got all trash. When I was in high school and I went over and again doing the same thing that he's done for 50 years. Gets up at 7, eats at 5, watches the 6 o'clock news, gets undressed on the couch, doesn't care. Blue and white nut huggers, bag of Utz chips and a Budweiser. And more Budweisers to go. He was like a functioning alcoholic, basically, pretty much. So now how do you go from athletic trainer to what you're doing now?
Yeah.
So explain what you're doing now because I don't want to butcher it.
Yeah.
Much better
So
than you
the medical device thing, and you kind of reimbursement goes up and down in waves. So I had an opportunity, came out with some. There were some medications being reimbursed at a really high rate. So I did that for a little while, did really well with the company, took them from literally $0 in this specific category to about $25 million a month within a calendar year in total revenue. So I did pretty good with that. And then I was sitting there thinking, reimbursement's always going to change in the medical field. It just does. So the line is, ride the wave while you can ride it because it's going to run out. Look for the next thing. So we started looking for a business to do because a couple reasons. One, the reimbursement is going to run out, number one. Number two, working with the different subsets of doctors and medical pioneers that I worked with, and then doctors in the general public in South Florida that I worked with.
Yeah.
Dr. Frank Jobe and Earl Bakken, who was not a physician, they could walk in here and you never know who they were. You just wouldn't. They're just good guys. Some of these doctors down in South Florida and doctors in general have a sense of entitlement to them and they talk down to you. Even though you're trying to help their practice and help them help their patients, there's a level of ego that comes along with some of them that I got to a certain age in my life where I can't deal with this anymore.
You're not happy.
I can't deal with this anymore. Because why can a medical pioneer treat me like a human being, and you that just got out of your fellowship is treating me like I'm a third-class citizen? I'm not. I didn't sign up for that.
And technically, you need me.
Yeah.
Right? Technically.
Yeah. So
You just got to your ending point where, because if you know what they say, if you don't love it, don't do it. You got to love it or it's just.
Funny story about medical pioneers, and I'll explain what I did here with what we're doing with Griffin. I got inside at spring training with the Dodgers, like inside. So it's chaos. Bodies coming in, ice, injuries, this, that, and other. We had Pedro Martinez, his brother, Jesus, was with us. Came in injured. I evaluated him, whatever, looked at him. And every week, Dr. Jobe has a fellowship doctors go to a fellowship for 1 year to specialize in something after their medical school. It's a sports medicine fellowship. So 1 week, every week at a spring training, there's one different doctor there at Dodgertown. And they love going there because they get to learn a lot for that 1 week. So I'm paging the Jobe fellow, trying to get the Jobe fellow to come in to help me evaluate because I'm a trainer, but I always have a doctor look at it. Nobody's coming. And I'm getting a little irritated. I'm like, I need a doctor in here, please, or whatever. So I'm working on the computer doing my workman's comp. I got 20 tables back here with guys with their elbows in ice. The guy sitting over there with a torn meniscus. This old man comes in. He's like, you need some help in here? I'm like, yeah, who are you? Well, I'm Dr. Jobe. I'm like, just like, I still hadn't met him yet. It was my second day there. I'm like, yeah.
And to you at the time, that's meeting
that's a sports medicine guy,
Yeah.
And this is the guy that invented Tommy John.
Yeah.
So I was like, and after I probably looked like a complete dork, and I was like, oh geez.
I can't believe you met him.
So he goes, I told him what I thought. And he goes, well, let's go take a look at him. I said, okay, well, here's where he is. He goes, and mind you, I haven't passed my board exams yet. I haven't. He goes, okay, why don't you go ahead and do your evaluation for me? I'm like, oh shit. So now I got this guy looking over my shoulder.
Who invented Tommy John?
And I gotta do this evaluation, and I was like, oh god, I'm so nervous, dude. I'm so nervous. So I do it, and he kind of has a chuckle. He's like, well, I think you're right. I think you did the right thing. And I'm like, oh, thank God. But anyway, that's one of my jokes.
No, that's a good. That's a good
dude,
story.
that scared the shit out of me. So anyway, we went to a number of different people.
So here's Homer's current company.
Yeah, Griffin Global. So we went to a number of different people, and we talked to them about some different things they were looking for investors in. And what it ended up coming down to is many of the companies or the ideas basically just want to take your money and gamble it away. So right. Yeah, there was nothing's guaranteed
So now
in life.
explain what the company is so people know what you're referring to when you say take it away. So,
well, I mean, there's a bunch of different startups. They have a concept or an idea, a business idea, but they don't have the funding to get it off the ground.
Yeah.
So I went to 15 or 20 different meetings, and they were all like, I could have just thrown my money out the window in 95, and it would have been the same result. So we met with these one gentleman through a friend of a friend. They were in the staffing industry. They were at a company called Oxford International. It's a publicly traded
it's in the market?
Staffing industry. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I don't know what the sign is, but whatever. Huge company. And they showed me their business model, and I knew nothing about this. And they had the quickest ROI, return on investment, out of any of the business plans I had seen. And it was a minimal investment. These two guys had gotten to the point where they couldn't go any higher in their corporate structure, and they were stuck. And it's kind of like when I was at Medtronic, they keep speeding up the treadmill and raising your number, and the next year you make $1,000 more if you hit that number. So it's just corporate America. So they had enough of it. So I kind of sympathized with them where they were. I got it. So went back and forth some negotiating. We started the company. There's a couple different ways you can do this. You have full-time placements. We're a search firm. You have full-time placements, which means I'm going to place a W-2 employee. Like one of our clients is, I think.
Okay, yeah, let's go through the website so you can.
One of our clients is Magnolia Home. Remember the Chip and Joanna Gaines? Yeah. Yeah, that's one of our clients. So let's say Magnolia Home comes to us and says, hey, we need a software engineer. Full-time employee. So they'll give us the specs, what they're looking for. We interview with the manager to find out exactly what they want, and they give us the salary range. We go through our database and the different tools we have, and we find them candidates, and we submit them that fit what they're looking for. And then if they end up hiring our candidate, we charge a fee, a percentage of the first year annual salary. That's the first type of search we do. The second type of search we do is what they call a contract placement. So you can probably see you just passed one. You go back that way for a second.
Okay.
So there's one right there. That's the FBI. Okay. So we've placed people in the FBI before. So the FBI.
Now when you say place people, what do you mean place people?
We found them employees. They asked us to find them somebody, and we placed them. We found them somebody, and they hired them.
So it can be any type of staffing. So if I have let's just say I have a engineering firm.
Mhm.
I can call your company and you'll find me staff.
Engineering.
Yeah, like is it down to specific things that
Yeah.
you'll do? The company will
Well,
do.
COVID changed our market quite a bit
I'm
because
sure it did.
being in the staffing industry when the
That's kind of tough, right?
12 million people are unemployed or whatever that number
Yeah.
was, it's really tough. We touched some things that we hadn't touched before in the last year, but we specialize, and you can see if you go up, scroll up, we should have this somewhere about Griffin Global, skills supported, where'd you go? Yeah, so those are some of the software engineering. So we started out with software engineering or IT, any sort of IT.
So you'll do IT, software development,
regular engineering,
Okay.
and there's various different subsets of engineering, as well as professional services. We've placed C-suite staff, CEOs, CFOs. So we've done a number of different things. We have there's some
And
of
these are all the people that David Yerman, nice.
yeah, David Yerman. I didn't even know who that was. All the ladies in the office like, oh, David
yeah.
Yerman, David. I'm like, who's David Yerman?
Yeah, he makes pretty nice.
Yeah, we
reports.
placed some, I think some Oracle specialists there with those guys. That's software. Gerdau is a Brazilian company, metal company out of Tampa. Harris Technology is a huge federal contractor. Legrand is a French company down here. Jardin Corporation, probably heard of them. They do all sorts of stuff.
So, do you do real estate too? Like you'll staff for real estate?
Like what?
Like it?
Some of the real estate
Yeah.
companies actually use a lot of IT people. Believe it
Yeah.
or not, yeah. LifeBridge is the huge group out of medical group out of the Baltimore area. Microtech is a federal contractor. They just want to
Maryland Medical Center is no joke.
Yeah, they just won a $10 billion contract, Microtech. Office Depot, they're based out of South Florida here.
Yep.
Newell Rubbermaid, I'm sure everybody's heard of them.
Oh, you got Rubbermaid?
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah. Pet IQ, it's a pet food company. They're out of Idaho. Reed Health, they're out of that's an interesting one where we branched out of our comfort zone a little bit. They were looking for some reimbursement specialists and billing specialists, and we were able to save them a lot of money, and recovered a lot of billing that they didn't get reimbursed from a lot of payers. Sheridan is a huge healthcare provider. Silgan makes the world's largest provider of the caps that go on Gatorade and like Powerade bottles.
I think they have a factory right in my hometown, outside of my hometown.
And they also make all the Campbell's soup and Del Monte cans.
That's the one.
Huge.
So if you need staffing, Homer's the one. I mean, look at the portfolio.
Yeah.
Go down a little bit quicker, Rob.
TBC.
Tire Kingdom, damn.
Yeah.
Do you still deal with them now, or that
Yeah.
contract's over? You're still dealing with them?
Yeah. And then FBI, Yale, New Haven.
Yeah.
Those are just some of our clients.
That's just a handful of them that you got on there.
We're dealing with a lot of robotic and AI clients right now.
Yeah.
Autonomous vehicle clients.
And not to shy anybody who's interested away, but you're not just doing AI. You're doing all this other
No,
stuff too.
yeah. It's we're pretty. The way I see it, I've approached this company much like I've done my entire career. Be honest, be direct, and just do the right thing. I've told a lot of clients like, hey, that's not in our wheelhouse. Call so and so.
Right, you'll refer them.
Or if they, because our goal is in 24 to 48 hours, have you a quality candidate, whether it's a contract role or a full-time placement, have you a quality candidate in 24 to 48 hours. And if we see something going on in the marketplace, like maybe there's not any folks that you're looking for in your area, number one. Number two, there are people in your area or in your specialty, but you're going to have to pay relocation, and you're not offering that right now. We might want to consider that. Number three, you're way out of whack in your salary range. Here's what the market's actually looking for.
And you prove that too.
Yeah,
the
we can
client,
give them,
you
give them
don't
data.
Just say it. Yeah.
No.
And obviously you're national.
Yeah,
It's not like
but-
it's just Florida.
no.
You'll do anything.
Cover the entire
Yeah, that's
country.
great.
I mean,
you got a hell of a portfolio.
we have more business outside of Florida than we do in Florida.
I figured.
Yeah.
But you got a hell of a portfolio, man.
Oh, thanks.
And I think you getting into that AI is a good idea.
Yeah, it's pretty cool technology.
coming.
Yeah, we
Elon's got that chip, my man.
we have a autonomous vehicle company that we're working with now. They said you can't find us enough robotic software engineers. Like you can't say that we need to hire. They said they need to hire 50.
You don't do you know 50?
They
don't exist.
It's so specialized.
Yeah.
You know.
It's the thing to get into.
But
now.
we've done a great job. We got a good team, good folks, and we've done a good job by just being honest and working hard.
Well, you know what I like what you said was that if somebody calls you and it's something that you don't do, you refer them.
Yeah.
If you know somebody to somebody who's not going to screw them.
Yeah.
Because you never know. They might need you one day.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be like, wow, Griffin just, referred me to this great guy. Now they need staffing for something you do.
Yeah.
They're obviously going to go to you because you just helped them out. Because you never know when they're going to come back.
We're always
You know what I
cool
mean?
with them. And,
that's what separates you. That's what I wanted to ask you. What separates your staffing company from another? Why should I go to you and not somebody else?
And that's a big challenge. And that's a great question for any business that you should ask. This specific industry, while we had the quickest return on investment from a business standpoint, it's one of the most saturated industries in our country.
Yeah, it is.
There's a ton of staffing firms. There's a ton of them. So where we've been able to hang our hat is that it's human nature. Okay, with these things, if you give a firm 10 jobs and 2 or 3 of them pay a lot of money, but they're hard to fill, but then you got 7 or 8 that don't pay a lot, but they're going to be kind of easy to fill, you're going to have a very small percentage of the people go to those hard ones to fill because they're like, no, I'm going to go to the easy, low-hanging fruit. And we make sure that when we give our roles to our recruiters, it's something that they're already working on, meaning a skill set or an area of expertise versus just throwing whatever. We never overwhelm our recruiters with too many job openings, number one. Number two, our response time is pretty good, and our rates were very competitive because you have some of these companies and the guys that we started the company with, where they came from, it was X and only X. They had 100% markup on their contract rates. So they turned away business because they're like, no, we can't. We have to charge this, so we can't work with you. There are companies that charge 50% the first year annual salary. I mean, it's crazy, and they won't budge because they don't have a choice because there's so many layers of management and
above them. Yeah.
Some business is better than no business. That's how I do business.
Right.
Because it'll pay off in the long run.
Are you negotiable?
Absolutely. Yeah. As we just had a startup company, an artificial intelligence company. Not a startup like guys coming out of college.
Yeah.
These are 50 and 60-year-old men that came from Fortune 100 companies that started this. So it's going to work. We see all sorts of stuff. This one's going to work.
That's how my engineering company. I had all retired old guys.
Yeah.
I had one younger guy, middle-aged guy that was a Navy SEAL. And he was my kind of like head guy that ran. I closed the deals, but he went out in the field to make sure things were done. I went on Craigslist, and I just got retired engineers that were looking for part-time. Maybe want to get away from the wife, right? Maybe just want to get back into it.
Yeah.
And what's funny is all of them but 2 used the Octagon still to do the engineering. They would draw. They didn't use AutoCAD. And those are the guys that did the one guy, Jorge, he was the only one that was able to do the breakers because nobody could get this column right. And this guy had built part of Miami University, like big time guy. But old, but just wanted something to do. So he could work from home, and I call him and say, hey, what do you do with this? And then he would go out to the job and do it. You know what I mean? So it was perfect for him. But I did the similar thing to you, where I got older guys that no entitlement issues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what ended up screwing up that company at the end was, 1, I got bored with it. 2, entitlement.
Yeah.
But
and that's what there's a lot of competition out there. And what I always tell our clients is like, listen, if you're working with one of these publicly traded companies, go to their website. Look at how many job openings are on their website. What page are you on?
Yeah.
So what priority is your job to them?
So from a client point of view, I would say that your benefits are you're negotiable,
Absolutely.
you're honest, you're respectful,
Yeah.
and if you can't do it, you'll send that person to the right person that you know. And if you don't know anybody, you'll just say, "Look, I don't know anybody,"
Yeah.
and you do a good job. You get the job done,
Yeah. We had
and the portfolio.
yeah,
It's just
and
insane.
NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, NOAA was looking for somebody for like 8 months, almost a year, and they couldn't get it filled. And they went to all these other folks, this, that, and another, and they came to us, and we filled it in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
It's
and time. too,
give us
time.
give us your hardest thing that you need help with. Let us take a shot at it. And but as far as being negotiable, like the startup company, the AI company, I said, Homer, can we work on the terms? Can we spread this out over a year? I'm like, let's talk about it. What are you thinking about? Versus a net 30 or a net 60.
Yeah,
So we got to an agreeable terms, and they're like, Homer, our next round of funding, our business plan has us hiring 300 employees. We're going to remember you did this for us
yeah,
because we need help now. And that's what I'm talking about.
yeah.
And we just hired,
everybody should learn that lesson.
and we just hired their first software engineer
That's
today.
awesome.
Today.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So you gotta, in my opinion, you gotta do stuff like that because it's all of our clients. I or our account managers end up being friends with them. We always make it a habit,
like a
fly-
family.
We always make it a habit to fly out to them and grab a lunch or a dinner because it's always good to break bread and look whoever you're
Yeah.
working with in the eyes to see who you're dealing with.
It breaks the ice.
Yeah, because emails, phones, texts, it's all great.
Yeah.
Now we can do Zoom and Skype, which is cool, but it's just nothing like going
I
out and
hate
having a lunch or a dinner with somebody.
I hate that Zoom. Yeah.
But yeah.
But
So,
now, one last question. So the website is ggscorp.com.
Yep.
The phone number's up there, 855-747-4334. Contact at ggscorp.com. You can see the open positions there. This will all be in the description. You can click on it. And if you need staffing, just look at his portfolio and how quick he gets things done. And right now, speed is everything in this time.
yeah,
and
it's
age.
become, it went from employer's market, literally when President Trump shut the border, I remember it was on my birthday, March 12th, shut the borders down. That following week, it's like somebody shut the faucet off in the employment market. It was gone. And then I would say probably September 1st, little bit of trickle of business. Candidates were looking for jobs. There was no jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after the first of the year, most of the employers have said, to heck with it, we need to get back to work.
Yeah.
So now the candidates are being picky because there's so many jobs out there. There's so many jobs.
Well,
And-
yeah, now they have choices.
Yes.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to be remote now. And some of the companies have conformed. They get it. But some jobs like one of our autonomous vehicle companies, like it's robots, you kind of have to be there for some of that,
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that requires secret clearance, top secret clearance, you have to be there for that on site. But the market's changed big time.
Yeah.
More of a candidate.
Pull up his the LinkedIn on the far right. So here's your LinkedIn, Global Systems Inc. 10,000 followers. How long have you had this company for?
Since 2015.
15.
Enough followers?
That's pretty damn good amount. Okay, go over to his Facebook.
Oh, well, that's me.
There's
You don't need
you.
to see me.
Yeah. Go to photos. Go to photos.
No.
He's like,
I don't know if you want to do that. You don't want to do
Yeah,
that.
just breeze through them.
There's nothing on there that's going to be worth anything.
Yeah.
There's our, that's my wife and my 2 boys and I on the keys, Alamorada.
Homer's a crazy boat driver, by the way. In a good way.
Yeah, all right, go to his 7-picture Instagram. See, now I would think you would be blasting this with stuff. Do you have an Instagram for the website or for the company?
You know, what's interesting is the couple guys we started the company with did set it up. To be honest with you, our industry is, I've mixed opinions of the social media stuff for our industry because we have companies, the huge publicly traded ones, that'll spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month on SEO and social media stuff, this, that, and other. But they're publicly traded companies, and we did some work with that, and
Don't fix something that isn't broken.
yeah,
And just stick with what you're doing.
we're being pretty successful.
You got the portfolio.
You know,
don't do anything.
That's Matt Scherzer, the pitcher for the Nationals. My son ran into him at Panera
Oh wow.
last year.
He's a pitcher for the Nationals.
Yep.
That's cool.
He's the one that just took his clothes off when they were checking him for foreign substance the other day.
Phillies manager.
Yeah.
I saw you have a P interest. Why the hell do you have a P interest? Go to his P interest. I was like, why?
What is that?
You have the link.
A Pinterest.
You have the link in your Instagram.
I have no clue what that
And I'm like, why does he have fishing pins there?
He's got 8 followers.
Well, there you go.
What is
bud.
that?
I don't know.
Pinterest.
You made it, pal.
Pinterest.
Go to his Instagram and show him.
I don't even know how you guys even
You
know
put
this
it
stuff.
there because scroll.
How
up.
do I know this?
You put it there.
There's your link. Right
I put
there.
that there?
Yeah.
What do you think? A fucking ghost put it there?
Look at ready? Pinterest.
I don't even know what that is.
That's where like people go to like find like craft ideas and
Oh, do I have any craft ideas?
you have a fishing 2 fishing pins.
I just signed up for it so I could see it,
I never.
and
Pinterest,
I'm looking, and I'm like, is this guy losing his mind? You know, I know him. I talk to him all the time. I'm like,
No, I don't even know anything about that. I don't even know.
do you want me to follow you to give you a 9? Because I just signed up for you.
I have 11. It just went from 8 to 11 or something.
Wow. Now you're still at 8,
now you're at 9.
and I get to look at fish pins.
I think I have a Twitter too, don't I?
Go to twitter.com.
Yeah, I'm not a big. I don't have time for all that crap.
And put twitter.com/MSCS media.
Oh,
Wow, there he is.
how long ago was that?
You got.
We'll give you a follow.
We'll give you a follow. Give it to him.
Follow.
Wow, I must have been old because you got hair. Don't even worry about it. I forgot to log in.
That one. That was in the Dominican on my friend's birthday. They rented a place at Casa de Campo.
That's all.
That's my wife.
That's your lovely wife that you've been with. How long have you been with her now?
18 years.
And let's thank her for allowing you to come in.
Oh no, she's cool with it. I had to explain to her. She's like, "You're gonna do what?"
Yeah. Yeah.
She didn't really get it.
Yeah. No. It was a great time. I hope to have you back in because you got more stories. I know you have to. So I'll talk you. I'll talk you into coming back in.
Yeah.
And congratulations on me and Tommy Lasorda and the guy who invented the Tommy John. I mean that's wonderful. And I'm happy that your staffing agency is killing it. I'll put it all in the description, and hopefully you get some calls. Not that you need them, but
No.
hey, any business is good business.
You can always do better.
So if you need staffing, make sure you get a hold of Homer. If you haven't been able to tell, he's got his shit together. And thank your lovely wife for allowing you to come during the week at this time when you got, what do you got, 2 kids?
2 kids. We got a baseball tournament game tomorrow at 8 a.m. at the Nationals Stadium.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But he gets up at 6 anyway. So.
I'll be up at 4 to go to my 5 a.m. CrossFit.
All right.
He was used to this from shoveling pig shit.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Right. Second nature.
Yes, it is.
All right, so we'll do another one in like a month and a half. More stories.
Yeah, we're a month and a half, right? We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, it will work out. All right, my man.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.